A lot. You're going to hear a lot about Champions Q probably in the first day because it's some of the best data we have to go on, publicly available data at least. Spica dropped a 29 kill game going up against some of the T1 guys, and so people have been eyeing this champion as absolutely disgusting. I think you will see a fair amount of carry junglers, potentially with Graves, with something like a Hecarim being identified by a lot of people as being pretty strong probably. Did get hotfix nerfed a little bit, but still with the changes that came through, there he is, exactly on time. Makes him look like a genius. I love it. The changes that came through, if you have not been keeping up with patch notes, for Hecarim, the big thing that they changed was his Q giving more stacks to ramp up. Previously, it was 2 that you would get on Rampage. As you use that, you would kind of get the cooldown lower, the damage would increase. They have lowered the base damage, but put a 3rd stack on and increased the scaling. So Hecarim has a little bit of this ramp-up time in teamfights where he becomes absolutely disgusting. They also gave him some resist on his W, decreased the healing a little bit, but made it so that he's much better about going in, getting into that fight, being a little bit tankier, and just helicoptering all over people.
Exactly. The DPS can go through the roof here on this guy. So they're going to get the Hecarim, they're going to get the Gnar for the side of Mad Lions. Back over to SweetCabin. It's an Ornn second pick. They're willing to just say, all right, let's scale it up here in the top side. You can have your lane bully, doesn't matter. We're scaling for Ornn.
Yep. ADD's most played champion on the Ornn, something he's very comfortable on, like you heard them talking about. A lot of weak side play for him. He used to play in the LPL. He's used to playing on some of these high-pressure situations, big stages and whatnot, so hopefully he can be this kind of strong backbone in the top side. And there's that misfortune that we were talking about, seeing a lot more play with some of the buffs that came through. She also got hotfix nerfed as well. Her strut was a little overtuned, probably. A little strong there, but still a very strong champion in the current meta.
And this matches what we would sort of expect for SweetCabin because they've got the scaling top laner and they've got a strong bottom laner that they can play through and play around and set up to have some success with.
Yeah, this is something that I'm very excited to see them bust out here from Mad Lions. This works well with that kind of Hecarim like you're talking about, diving in there. Serafine's one of the best enabling champions you can get. We'll see if it ends up going bot lane. That's where it's been favored recently, but maybe that will end up in Niski's hands.
Well, this looks to me a lot, Mark, like some grievous wounds will need to be on the menu, going up against Seraphine healing as well as Hecarim's Spirit of Dread. You said that they gave him some resist, they knocked the healing down a little bit, but Hecarim's healing is still pretty incredible if he's in the middle of a fight, if he's able to get all that vamping done. Let's see how the second half of the draft is going to work here with the bans, because we do have top laner, we do have jungler, and we do have what I am assuming is bottom lane carry drafted for both sides, which means I need to look at support bans and I need to look at mid lane bans with the LeBlanc and the Swain getting away.
All right, so Swain taken away from the Seraphine Swain combination. This is a disgusting combination that just results in mid-game meatballs that you can't kill. Yep. So no surprise to that one taken out. The Azir did get nerfed, but it was one of Seiya's best champions. He was able to carry quite a bit in playoffs on that champion. He was very clean at it too. Almost always felt like in the right position, getting damage out. So they want to take that away. We'll have to see what else they want to pair with it. Probably not any of these that Unforgiven is hovering, given that they already have Armut's Gnar locked up in the top side.
Yeah, he's hovering the Teemo. He's hovering his trademark Karthus there. A couple of different champions, but it looks like Talia going to be the pick instead. How do we feel about this one?
I like it. I mean, this is one of the champions that we were talking about being one of those few that Niski played twice. It fits that roaming, pushing play style, like you heard the analyst desk wanting them to go back to. Exactly in that wheelhouse, and Niski himself does play it very well, and it puts pressure now on Seiya and Drell to kind of try to control him, because if you don't, Niski will take over the game.
He'll take over the game, and he'll set up Elyoya to just be able to rampage through these team fights as well. I've got my eyes on the mid-jungle combinations of both of these teams so much, as we've got Lissandra locked in. I assume this would be Seiya's pick here in the mid lane. Now I still need to see what that support is going to be. Where's the last one at? SweetCabin, how are we going to finish this bottom lane? What will be paired up with the Misfortune?
They have played a fair amount of Alistar. It does potentially work with kind of engage, wanting to instantly blow someone up against these Seraphine team comp where you want to finish someone off. Amumu kind of fits that similar idea where you want to go in, you want to kill someone. Probably a little bit stronger in lane as well. Whereas Alistar does need like level 3 and whatnot.
Plus Amumu and Misfortune together, plus the Ornn. This is the massive AoE team fight wombo combo. If you manage to line all of those up and layer those one over another, it's going to be a bad time for the Mad Lions. But now, what is Mad going to put Kaiser on? Ooh, Leona, I like it.
All right, Leona for Kaiser. He is at his best, I think, on these kind of supports that can go in, engage, pick fights, really make a big impact, and they get him his Leona there to get that one done for him. Really like seeing this for him. It was obviously Nautilus I feel like he's most known for, but the Leona as well as kind of Nautilus, Leona have been the engaged champions for a long time now. will enable Elyoya to be more of a follow-up engage as well. It sometimes feels bad to play Hecarim when you have to be the first one going in.
And I like that a lot because Hecarim is not a direct tank, he's more of a drain tank. He can't be the one just eating all of that damage at the very beginning, getting bursted down before he's able to heal back up. So I like this composition. How do we feel like this is going to play out early? We've already talked about how Niski's going to want to roam around. We've looked at the other side. We know ADD wants to scale. Where are we expected to see these junglers focus on?
Well, so obviously for Elyoya, you still have that little bit of ramp-up time. Some Hecarims actually do get involved early on in the map if they can find a good angle for their E charge to get a knockback away knock, but otherwise it's mostly sixes you're looking at, I think. For kind of both teams a little bit, honestly, despite the fact that they are going to play very differently, both are actually more teamfight comps than not. The Gnar can split a little bit more than the Ornn and whatnot, but otherwise, you know, Seraphine and Hecarim are very much teamfight champions.
Yeah, they want to group up, they want to be able to have those 5v5s, but we already talked about Ornn, about the Misfortune, about the Amumu. These massive AoE ultis don't feel as good in 1v1s and 2v2s. They want to pile together.
Yeah, so I think it's going to come down a lot for Isurus to be in these objective fights early, get there, get vision control, make the enemy team walk into you, make Mad Lions have to face check, drop you this insane wombo combo, and instantly delete some members of Mad Lions. If you're unable to do that, you miss some of your engage. I expect Mad Lions team comp to actually be very good. It's still team fighting because you have that kind of sustained advantage.
Alrighty, let's rock and roll. We're on to Summoner's Rift for the first time here in the World's 2022 play-ins, and we're already gonna get first blood. 44 seconds in, first blood over to Niski.
Oh no, Jelly just face checks Kaiser, gets stunned up. You have the Glacial Augment to make sure it was easy for Mad Lions to collapse on top of him. They get that kill. No summoners blown other than the Ignite on Kaiser. Jelly just kind of accepted his fate there, but it gave Niski as the first blood, able to grab that tier right out the gate. So already Mad Lions feeling very good. EU fans instantly breathe a giant sigh of relief. You're feeling good. First blood in 2022 Worlds.
Jelly gift wrap that one for him, Mark. That is not the start they are looking for. Silver lining, as you said, at least no summoner spells spent there by the Isurus support as he got caught. But man, that is not a good look. Like you said, the tier for Niski, just being able to have that stacking from moment zero in the lane. Get that stacked up, get that to the max level that much more quickly.
Latam saying, welcome to Mexico, have a gift, have a first blood, enjoy your stay, Mad Lions. And like you said, this makes it so annoying to play against Niski because if you play Xlia well, you can theoretically not bump into mana problems. This allows you to play kind of brain off and spam a lot more through the first couple levels than you ever normally would be able to, given that you're going to start stacking that tier up right away. You have that bit extra base mana as well. So we talk about controlling Niski. Giving him extra mana to shove and roam is not what you want.
Exactly. When we think about players wanting to shove, normally just mindlessly spamming the wave is one of the best ways to shove. So it makes things a little bit worrying. Also remember historically when we saw Amumu first get popular in the bottom lane as a support, as Unforgiven immediately has to flash away. Let's see if they can take this one any further. Kaiser having a flash out there too. Isurus bottom lane, 2v2, gets both flashes.
All right, Jelly kind of making up for the oopsie at level 1, gets both flashes with the double chains from his Q early on. Feels pretty good and puts Mad Lions on the back foot a little bit early on. The Seraphine Leona lane was never really going to win against the MF in shove and early pressure, but that does give you opportunities now potentially. If you can somehow break Seiya out of the mid lane, meet up with Grell, maybe you can start making some dives happen in the bot lane if you're going to have pressure this entire time and no sun.
And the thing that I was going to originally mention is after Amumu got those changes a while back to give his Q2 charges when he found himself initially being played in the support role, Leona was one of those champions that pro players were finding as an answer, because when it came down to just the all-in, I'm going to get you type of fight, Leona came out on top. She's a tankier tank.
Yeah, she's a tankier tank, but unfortunately MF is a damage healer, damager.
That was astute, Mark.
There's some
I
English
feel like
right
you're
there,
really
brother.
speaking to me here, bud.
You know what I'm saying, man. She's going to do more damage in the early level 1 trades, the double up damage coming through. I think they also hit too, so probably had Strut as well. Then maybe make it rain. I have to check, but either way, going to do way more damage than the Seraphine, and that's why ultimately you saw the flashes come out of Mad Lions, just the damage from Devoto coming through. He has been kind of the X factor, I guess I would say, watching Isurus games. He has some insane team fights, both good and bad. He seems to always be flanking, it feels like, no matter the situation. And he is the one who can sometimes pop off or maybe have a bad team fight, whereas Seiya is the more kind of consistent carrier for them in the mid lane.
Yeah, Gavoto in the LLA regular season got the most MVPs. Well, he tied for him. He got 4 MVP votes, tied up with Boogie and Adi in that count. So definitely the guy who can show up when they need him, but a lot of pressure is going to be on him on that misfortune. We know how much power this champion's ultimate adds to these big skirmishes, adds to these big team fights. So that positioning of his, when he decides to press R, that's going to be clutch.
It's funny that you did that when you're doing the hand animation of the ultimate, but no one can see that. So it was very funny for me, at least, to see the double guns there going off for you. Anyways, for this game right now, nice bit of a freeze here, making it risky for Mad Lions. They do have that one ward, and they don't know, but Grell was camping in the tri-bush, got the reset, though, didn't want to waste any more time. So a little safer for Mad Lions bot lane here, and I think they are two members that have drawn a little bit of the attention for what was going on towards the end of playoffs for Mad Lions. The meta came through, there was that big change, hyper carries being a focus, bot lanes needing to win a lot, and Mad's identity being more about pushing and roaming and team play. Did feel like they struggled a little bit, both Unforgiven and even Kaiser a little bit. I saw him making roams that got him caught out of position, not quite playing at the same level that we all know he can play with. He is this world-class support. Hopefully, can stabilize from here in this bot lane.
And that's why I like the Seraphine so much for Mad Lions. If you know your bottom laner is not the standout guy on the team, if he's not the superhero, if he's not the carry, then cool, put him on Seraphine. Create this death ball. Make this massive 5v5. And that's another thing that I think is going to be important when we look at compositions and we go through all these games, these 8 games a day in play-ins group stage in this best-of-1 format. Ease of execution on comps. Group up and death ball them, that's a good way to win.
Yeah, and both teams have that option here. We were talking about, despite the champions playing very differently, both being somewhat team fight identity. Armit not got out of position here. He wants this fight.
We got Ghost versus Ghost. Grell is taken low and Grell is taken out. Armit barely being kept alive. ADD's looking to get him now, but he won't have the damage. It's a disaster for Isarus. A double kill to Elyoya.
Nice collapse from Mad Lions there. Armit starting that one off and having the fancy feet to make sure that ADD could not finish him off when Mad Lions collapsed on top of them. There's that roaming mid-jungle we were talking about. Both Niski and Elyoya coming in, catching out the members of Isarus in the river. Now up to a 3-kill advantage, 1,000 gold lead, feeling very good just past 6 minutes into the game.
Man, oh man, the early game has not gone the way that Isarus Gaming was hoping for. That was so close, but still no cigar there in the top side. Ghost on both of the junglers to try to move around, get that extra speed to outplay one another, but it is the Mad Lions coming out on top. Let's take another look at how it went down.
Yeah, you can see that Invade was spotted out very early on. They knew that the members of Mad Lions were on the bot side of the map, so Grell thinks he's safe to invade, but the fact that Arma had collapsed from top lane to get the initial cutoff gave Elyoya time to collapse with that Ghost. Like you said, charging in there, you know, it's not just a post-level 6 champion for Hecarim. You can scrap early on. It's just sometimes getting on top of people. But when you already have that kind of setup, very easy for him to get both those killed. Double kill, accelerating the Hecarim. And I think for a lot of people, Elyoya being arguably the best player on Mad Lions, I think for a lot of people between him and Niski. And Elyoya is at his best on these kind of farming, scaling, carry champions. He exploded onto the scene with a lot of like tempo-based junglers and whatnot. So this is an incredible start for him in his first game at Worlds this year.
Oh boy, Niski just getting all in here as the Ram comes flying through. Niski with a flash back to stay alive. Nicely done from the Mad Lions mid laner, but it does cost him both summoner spells to get away from.
This is what they were talking about in the analyst that's playing around Seiya a little bit in the mid lane. Not hard committing to it, but Seiya setting that up, getting the initial chunk down to Niski, and ADD roaming down from River. Had that threat from the ultimate. I think Niski didn't need to flash. It looked like he could have just stepped down, but I like playing safer than not early on at an international competition. Like, yeah, maybe you can just walk down out of that, but just don't be greedy. Learn that flash, stay alive.
I mean, especially in the format for play-ins groups, because the top spot in either group just automatically gets out without having to play a best of 5. And it's just best of 1s that are determining that top spot. The smallest things that can determine a win or loss could end up being the difference between you playing a best of 5 or not, right?
Yeah, absolutely the case. And like we talked about a little bit, Mad Lions playing what should, in theory, be 2 of the easier opponents for them in group stage here on day 1. Taking down, hopefully, Isarus for EU fans, and then Istanbul Wildcats later on. A good start right now, and then, you know, have that little bit of momentum as you head into the tougher Eastern teams waiting for them.
You gotta be prepared, gotta get the reps in when you can get them. And Elyoya is going to get that early Rift Herald here for his team just a little bit after 8.5 minutes in as Kaiser and Unforgiven make their way back into the bottom lane. You can see Unforgiven having that ulti here on the Seraphine. That thing is massive gank assist. and it's really good against Misfortune as well. As soon as she starts channeling, you can fire it back, interrupt her, and take over the fight.
Same with Leona, just dropping your ultimate on top of the MF if she ever tries to channel her ult early on in a fight will be something that keep your eye on for Kaiser to do. They did get 2 turret plates, though, during that timing window where they were grabbing the Rift Turtle for Mad Lion's side. They're respectful for Unforgiven and Kaiser, making sure that there was no play available on the weak side, but it did allow some more gold to go into Govoto's pockets. Now up to 3,300, just a couple hundred gold ahead of the Seraphine.
So we've got dead even farm in bottom lane. About a 1-wave difference with an advantage for Seiya there in mid lane. But jungle and top are massive farm leads for the Mad Lions. And Elyoya and Niski are looking to keep the focus here on ADD. They know this guy can end up playing that weak side more often than not. They want to punish him for it. A little bit more damage will take him down, and Niski gets the kill. Seiya's made his way over. Looking to grab the first one. It's Grell getting on the board. Niski behind enemy lines with nowhere to go. He'll buy as much time as he can. They want to give the money over to Graves. They want to get Grell rocking and rolling.
All right, 2 kills onto that Graves, like you said. They were able to get the collapse onto ADD, but he did such a good job kiting that one out. Look how far under the top lane they needed to go to make that happen. Nice usage of the Bellows Breath by ADD to not get the initial flick back that Niski did land onto him, that unstoppable, making sure that they had to go deep. And so he's playing very respectful here. They already have to run kind of between the 2 turrets. The fact that this did not actually cut him off, there's no flash on the Orin, so if they were able to land that one, he would have been dead much earlier. There you see the Bellows Breath to actually make sure none of the displacements stopped him from walking down to the point where now they're under the inner turret. And then it's bought enough time for the rest of Isrus to collapse. They get that kill onto Armit. They're also going to have Niski cut off here. No way out for Grell, who's ghosted up, like you said, to find that kill. Elyoya, the big brain jungle play, though. Call it plates. I'm not saving anyone. I'm getting some gold.
Well, that was a really solid performance there from ADD. Like you said, buying as much time as possible. If I know my top laner is going to be playing scaling weak side, I want him to be doing that. As now Armit finds himself under pressure. ADD going for that point-blank R2, but Armit's there for the outplay. Now Elyoya is coming in, and Grell's the target. Armit building up the Narbar, ready to go. Grell continues to kite, but it will not work. Say good night. 2 more kills for the line.
Elyoya had such a nice reset there. The extra gold that he got, getting him Boots 2 and Sunderer on that back from the turret place. He also did not drop the Rift Herald on that initial push, which gives him the faster recall to not be down tempo on that play. So with the enhanced recall of Rift Herald, he can instantly go back up topside. Back up Armit, who still had flash despite what just happened to the top lane, could have a really nice point-blank flash and now blow open the entire top side of the map, leading to almost a 4,000 gold lead.
I think the regular season Mad Lions are here to play, Mark. This squad looks like they're ready to go.
They are jiving. This is exactly Elyoya's meta. If we're going to have these kind of carry junglers going off, you can see him 3-0-2, nearly 100% KP, only missing out on that first blood, which honestly...
Yeah, that was a bit of a meme anyway. Come on, let's...
You can say that all the plays that actually happened in this game have been kind of involving Elyoya so far.
And I mean, that's what we set up as Mad Lions' game plan, right? They want to have Niski being able to support him. They're going to have Armit being able to support him. If Elyoya wants to go, everybody else just says, where are we going? And now, we're going mid. Okay, not a whole lot there. I mean, it's Lissandra, but hey.
Hey, they tried. Lissandra, notoriously difficult champion to take advantage of in the mid lane, but does get them prio now. Not any focus onto Dragons thus far in the game, with the fact that the bot lane for Mad is not their focal point, but now that they have dropped top turret, swapping their focus down around here. Let's see if Isrus want to contest this.
All right, Isrus, you're down about 3,500 gold. It's just a Cloud Drake. I'm not sure if they really want to go for it. The Drake's already done. Let's see if Kaiser can find the engage. It's Jelly here with the front. He flashes forward, gets the ulti down onto a couple. Massive bullet time on 2. And Isrus get the angle in a 2-for-1. Niski gets away. Unforgiven still kicking as well. But nicely played there from Isrus. Nicely engaged by Jelly.
Nice counter engage. It's definitely the case where Mad Lions got that dragon for free. They were pinging out ADD and said, hey, the Orin's not here. His ultimate wasn't even available. They're looking at this as a 4v4 without the main frontline tool. So they think that they can just brute force through here onto Jelly. But the fact that Govoto does get charmed here, cleanses it off, gets this full ultimate, no interrupt by Kaiser. So the 2 members on the front line, Hecarim and Leona, get absolutely destroyed by that. Govoto's going to get a little bit more gold now, starting to get some in his back pockets, bringing that gold lead a lot closer. Bit of a misstep there by Mad Lions, underestimating the power of team fighting for Isrus.
And hey, Isrus closed that 3,500 gold gap to a little bit under 2K there. So that was a pretty big swing in keeping this game within reaching distance. right? It was starting to run away from them a little bit. That pumped the brakes nicely.
And MF is the main carry in this comp. Yes, the Graves will do damage, obviously Lysandra and whatnot, but if anyone wants to be fed, it's going to be the MF. And she's up above 6,000 gold now, only a couple hundred behind Elyoya, the most fed members for Mad Lions. So this is a decent start for them. You can see going for the Kraken Slayer DPS-oriented build. I think a lot of people prefer this over the kind of like 10 build with Eclipse or whatever else you might go. As a main carry, when you're going to frontline to hit, the attack speed buff that Strut gets is absolutely no joke, and you can pump out that damage with the double up kind of auto attack reset that you have.
Plus, with the Last Whisper as the second item, he knows he's going to have to shoot through Kaiser. He knows he's going to have to get through this Hecarim in this Gnar. You can already see the winged Moonplate in the inventory of Elyoya. Those movement speed tank items are going to start coming out, and the horse is going to get very scary very quick. Gunning through that front line is not just an option, it's going to be a necessity.
Absolutely. And Elyoya, excuse me, you see not going for the tier build where you end up with Muramana that a lot of people go when they're going full carry Hecarim. Yeah, they can grab that tier early on. It does grab the Thunder and it's going into tank. So kind of respecting this meatball identity that they're going to have when you get those resistances, the healing gets even stronger for you. And you can see Isurus, despite that fact, going to try and test this objective as well, looks like.
Okay, Mad Lions took the first Herald 8.5 minutes in. Isurus want to see if they can challenge here for this one, but it ain't gonna happen. Where's the follow-up? Unforgiven thrown up into the air, but now they're trying to get themselves back out as Niski cuts them off. ADD bangs his head into the wall, and they bang ADD into the ground. Niski still throwing out a couple rocks, seeing if there's anything else to find. Seismic shove won't hit a target, but that's Mad Lions getting themselves a Herald and getting themselves a kill to boot.
Niski giving a target to Isurus, split their focus there. It was a nice interrupt onto Jelly, potentially collapsing from the Ornn ultimate. That was nicely done by Kaiser to stuff any engage. And then, once that happens, here, we're taking a look at it first. ADD starts this fight off with that ultimate, like we're saying. Jelly wants to get that follow-up, but the ultimate stun there by Kaiser stops any potential massive wombo combo. And once this wall comes in from Niski and kind of bisects the team fight, Seiya decides, all right, we'll go for him instead, but Niski has
variety,
his
baby.
available, is able to get out of there while the rest
Yeah,
of the
indeed,
team
variety.
win that fight. Nice execution there, as well as grabbing that Rift Herald, kind of
Now you
making
finish
sure this game
stream
didn't slip any
something,
further
I
away
mean,
from them.
I'm
Still
not really
neutral.
watching anyone.
And that was kind of the other side of the
may
coin
as
from
well
what we saw at
just-
Drake, right? Mad Lions is there. Mad Lions is going to get the objective. Isurus wants to do something
Let me
about it, but
just
now
stream
Niski.
it.
Oh, Niski. This isn't where
the
you
fact
want to
that it's
be.
not like
buddy.
anyone
Got shut
watching.
down. Kill credit goes over to Seiya.
Yeah, you're just saying, lost his flash in that previous team fight. Isurus immediately targeted him down. Seiya getting that lockdown. Big part of the kills so far, him and Graves, 100% kill participation. And Grell and Seiya, I think you could say, if you hadn't watched, they are the two main, I think, playmakers for this team in a lot of ways. Seiya has, I feel like when I watch him, a little bit of that like Bjergsen syndrome that people sometimes say, oh, well, he could be a bigger playmaker or whatnot, but he's almost always doing the right thing. But that does sometimes draw criticism when the rest of the team is doing crazy stuff and you're kind of that consistent member. He's also the most accomplished mid laner. I think it's 11 titles that he's had across the two leagues when they merged together into the LLA. You know, like, this guy has been at the top of his game for so long. You just expect
I
excellence
have
out
to
of him.
say,
Yeah,
it
he's
really
been playing
relaxed
for an
me.
incredibly long amount of time. He's the only player left on this roster from 2021, and his coach describes him as like that X factor that this team would need to be able to get out of play and to be able to fight their way into the main group stage. So he's definitely somebody to keep your eye on if you're an Isurus fan, if you want to see what this team can do. A lot of it will center around him. He has his stopwatch, he has his Everfrost, these incredibly powerful actives that can set him up to make even more plays. As Niski face checks into the brush, he was not expecting a man with a shotgun. He
But we
uses
just started
that
drawing,
stopwatch, but it
what
won't
is
do a damn
I used to
thing.
draw a lot.
Solo.
Man, Isurus
I
really
used to
picking
draw,
on Niski
like,
now, catching out
really
the
a lot.
MVP in the side lanes twice in a row. This time,
But
AD
it
was
kind
a bit
of
longer range to maybe set up with his ultimate, but
Die
Grell was
with
just
the,
so
you know,
fed in the fact that
with
he
me
got
being
the
busy with
wallbang right out
everything
the
else,
gate
and
there,
I
able to
start
drop
gaming
Niski so
more than
low, still no
before.
flash.
So
Got
I
the
was like
stopwatch out of
basically,
him as well.
And that's one of the scary parts with a champion like Graves. Just because of the way the Q damage works,
Okay,
it's
let's
very high
try
because
again.
it's very difficult to guarantee. So when you face check that brush and he guarantees it, you're
Especially that
immediately
I really
in a losing
remember that
situation.
it really-
Isurus are onto the Drake. Remember the Mad Lions took the first one, but they know they're a man down. They know Niski is only
Relax
just
me.
now respawning. Even with Weaver's wall, he couldn't get there in time. Mad say discretion is the better
she
part of
looks
valor.
so
They
orange.
don't fight
Those
that.
markers, I'm just gonna return them. They just literally
line right
destroy everything.
Yeah, I've probably heard it in the book or something.
No, you made it up, dude. Someone told that Captain Flowers 2022 Worlds broadcast, came up with it. That was really nice by Isurus.
So I
The
don't know
fact
if
that
you
they got
saw
that
what I
first
drew
dragon
earlier
down on
today.
second
I
dragon,
drew
stop
this
Mad
one
Lions
earlier.
dragon taking. Mad just kind of hovered around bot lane to make sure that Armit could finish off that bot turret. He's kind of silently this game, actually having an incredible performance. 2-1 and 4, has gotten a lot of solo gold, up about 40 CS. He's that kind of extra little bit of win con that Mad Lions has with this comp is the side lane pressure that they can have. Isserus has done a good job cutting that off with Niski, but someone will eventually have to answer Armit.
And once again, Niski with a face check there, but he's got backup this time. The hunter has become the hunted, and Grell drops. Elyoya grabbing the kill credit on that one. Niski barely getting away with about 100 HP, but it's 100 more than Grell's got now. Dead for the next 20 seconds, 9-6 in favor of the Mad Lions.
It was a cute idea, I think, by Isserus, but underestimating how many members of Mad Lions were
return
up there.
them.
There was the recall to cover the push by Seiya, gets caught out, and then Niski had some backup coming in. Now Elyoya up to 4-1 and 4, completed that force of nature. Not going to be taking very much damage from Seiya anymore. Probably not from ADD either, but luckily for Isserus, it's Grell and Kabuto who are bringing most of the damage right now.
Yeah, he's got cooldown boots, he's got force of nature, and his mythic is a damage item. So there's no armor at all on this champion. There's no Mountain Drake picked up by Mad Lions either. There's just not going to be any Mountain Drakes in this game for a while until those start spawning here. But the thing that we got to remember is the Grave, the misfortune. Hecarim walking into a bullet time or a Graves combo, he can still melt. And that's kind of what I'm looking for Isserus to be able to set up and make happen.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened in that Dragon fight that Isserus were able to win. We'll see if they can start replicating that. So far, it feels like these fights have been very close. When we saw them, the Rift Herald one, it was better execution by Mad Lions. The Drake fight, a bit of an overstep by Mad Lions. So they've been good about getting these dragons first, except for that one where Niski got picked off. I expect them to, with the advantage that they have with side lane in Armit, when they are able to make sure that Isserus is not getting a flank onto Niski or something, they should be able to get to these objectives first, I believe. Though Gavuto in the mid lane will have priority mid. It's very hard for the Seraphine to step up and contest that one.
Yeah, that Lord Dominic's Regards second item fully completed now for the Misfortune as well. You can see the Black Cleaver on Armit as a lot of these guys on both sides are hitting those 2-item power spikes. And we talk a lot about gold advantages in League of Legends, but gold is just a pathway to items. And so especially if you're the team that's behind, you'll want to fight on the same completed item spikes if you can. And right now, it looks like both squads want to posture around mid. Niski gets away there as Jelly tried to go in after him.
Yeah, got the interrupt, I think, actually on the Q, so did not end up over the wall for Jelly, but still gets the flash out of Niski, which in 2 minutes will still be down when they get to this Drake fight again. Might make him a juicy target for all this engage that Isserus has on their side.
Exactly, and he does not have any sort of an aggro drop. You can see there's no stopwatch, there's no Zhonya's there for Niski. He has a cleanse that'll be up, but now, ADD, he's playing weak side again. The Ignite keeps ticking, the Solar Flare guarantees the damage. Armit flashing in to get that Q just in case, but it won't even be needed. Tier 2 turret drops here in the bottom lane, and Mad Lions keep pushing.
Yeah, Mad Lions catching Isserus in a bit of a reset there. ADD on the lane by himself. How far can they push this?
Okay, they pop both big ultis of the bottom laners there onto Elyoya. They clear out the wave. They hurt the front line of the Mad Lions. They'll force them back for now.
Nice stem the bleeding there for Isserus. Did not want to lose an inhibitor turret.
No.
Right there. And I still like that play by Mad Lions, getting down, getting onto ADD. You saw how long he lived. He actually played that one fairly well. Almost got out, had to get finished off by kind of a Leona ult snipe.
Yeah.
But because Isserus was just so out of position in the middle of that reset, they couldn't actually punish Mad Lions there. Mad Lions able to get more gold in their back pocket, get this back up close to that 4,000 gold lead that they were at before, heading into the third dragon.
All right, third dragon, 2 big team fighting comps. I feel like being first to the scene is of paramount importance.
Absolutely the case. I think both teams are very happy to make the other team face check them. They have a lot of lockdown CC, both teams. If you go try and walk into a Seraphine with the poke and then the charm coming through, forcing you to walk forward, the flick backs, all that stuff is very scary. Same case for Isserus. You have the Leona, or excuse me, the Misfortune ultimate to combo with the Mumu. You can see them still want to keep a little bit of vision onto Baron, not losing completely, but based off their positioning, the fact that Isserus has all their members up on the top side of the map, you have to think that they're not actually going to contest this. I can understand this thought process. ADD is 2 levels away from starting to turn on his items, so instead they're saying you stay, excuse me, Mad Lions up on the top side trying to get the Baron pressure down.
Mad Lions just going for the Baron. They're saying, all right, you guys had control over that bottom side river. If you want the Drake, take it, but Baron's gonna go our way. Isserus hanging around this area. Baron's at about 6K. Mad Lions pull off of it. It's so dangerous to hard commit to something like this for either one of these comps with the amount of AoE on both sides. but it still means there's Drake alive.
Drake is still alive, but Mad Lions are not backing off the pressure with the Seraphine in their comp. They can kind of keep posturing around this objective, force Isurus over and over again to have to face check them. They have such good vision control here in the river, but Isurus are kind of calling that bluff, saying, we'll just keep taking turrets if you don't actually commit onto the Baron.
Yeah, Isurus is doing a really good job here, just picking up 2 turrets for free in mid. It's not going to stop them from getting to the Baron in time, you would think. ADD and Jelly still looking for the chance. The Baron's at 3K. Little bit of damage over the wall. Here they go. It's bullet time. ADD gets the first kill. Isurus are going in, but Mad Lions have found themselves the Baron. Elyoya looking for any sort of a chance here as Seiya takes a lot of damage back from Niski and Unforgiven, but Elyoya is down. Niski and Unforgiven trying to get away. Jelly dies in the back end of the fight as Grell goes forward, looking for even more. He'll take down the enemy mid. He looks for the enemy carry. Unforgiven gets away into the top lane, but Grell and Gavoto are looking
Last
for
Baron.
There comes that into the line. Unforgiven's the only one left, and he's gone. Isurus get the ace.
Isurus wiped the Baron off of Mad Lions. It was a last-ditch effort by Elyoya, ulting into the pit to make sure it was not a complete disaster of a play. So greedy by Mad Lions to stack in the pit against this team comp of Isurus. They get obliterated for it, though the game is not over yet because they were able to get that Baron. Here you can just see, sitting in that pit, such an easy 2-man ultimate for the side of Gavoto there to solve them out with Jelly. That forces you see Elyoya to go ulting back in, get that. There's a couple members killed it right out the gate. ADD dropped as well, but Grell plays this fight so well, just staying in melee range the entire time, stacking up that grit, getting multiple Gore Drinker procs. Jelly giving his life up here to enable that chase down sequence and to actually wipe all these Barons off the side of Mad Lions. Gavoto with that struck coming in clutch, able to back up his homeboy. Grell finding all of these kills, just such an incredible performance on him in this Graves.
And this is a huge reason
Thank
why
the
he's
Prime.
got ghost on the Graves too. As you could tell, he was ghosted that entire fight.
Sorry,
as he got the resets, as he was able to get those knockouts, he just kept extending the duration, and the hometown crowd is ready to go.
Yeah, I was just about to say, it must feel so good playing on the world stage, acing the European representatives here, the 4th seed, in front of your audience, scaring those crowd cheers behind you now, and the gold lead still about 3,000 in Mad Lions' favor. That Baron being smited by Elyoya, I can't stress enough how important it was, because it's not just the fact that you get a gold lead from it, but also stopping Isurus from continuing to push and then group up with this comp that they have would be so difficult to stop the siege.
So Isurus did get those 2 turrets mid. They did get the ace. They did get themselves the Drake as well. You can see they've got that mountain on them now, so they're going to be a little bit tankier. One thing they got to be careful about, as you can see them backing away from where they were in the bottom lane. ADD's on the other side of the map with no teleport, so they really couldn't afford to get caught out there. They're going to back away for now. We've got 4 minutes until the next Drake and the next Baron are alive, and it's Mad Lions once again pushing out the bottom lane. What do you want to see them do here, Mark?
I like what they're doing right now, just staying aggressive, trying to get vision control and make these kind of pick plays happen. You do have a lot of mobility with Elyoya's speed, with Niski's ultimate to try and find people in the side lane. Arma is still very strong, very far ahead of ADD himself, so very possible for Mad Lions in these 3 intervening minutes before they're forced to 5v5 again to look for pickoffs. Isurus has done a good job themselves of finding angles onto these, Niski in particular, whenever he splits. So for them, though, I do still kind of go back to that scaling angle we're talking about. ADD is hitting those Masterwork Horn items now. This is going to make them even scarier in the 5v5s as they continue to scale up. So I do think Isurus, I understand you are down gold, playing on the back foot a little bit here, trying to make sure that Mad Lions is walking over your wards, that you're seeing them coming, then you can stop the bleeding in these kind of side lane plays.
And I'm glad you bring up the Masterwork items, because if you're looking at Drakes, if you're looking at Masterwork items, post-Drake buffs, and of course in the modern age of mythic items after the whole rework to how Ornn works, every single Drake is worth about 1,000 gold in stats for the team. Every single Masterwork item is going to give you about 1,000 gold worth of stats. So when you're at +1 Drake and +1 Masterwork item, hey, that's plus 2k. All of a sudden, the game feels really, really close, and it could go either way. I'm really impressed with what I've seen from Isurus here, staying close with the Mad Lions.
Yeah, it's super impressive to see them, the representatives from the LLA, going toe-to-toe with Mad Lions so far this game. A lot of these team fights have been huge ultimates by Gavoto. I think he's having an incredible performance, like you said, one of the most important members of this team. I think going forward, Mad Lions have to find a way to shut him down in these team fights. It's been a couple uninterrupted misfortune ults right at the beginning. I think you do have to give Jelly some credit for locking down Kaiser or forcing him to
Yes,
use
for
ultimate.
some reasons I'm very obsessed with
Ultimate, but that's something
drawing
Mad Lions
team.
will have to do a better job of is stop getting put in these positions where they're up against the wall or their engage is getting stuffed and they're getting counter-engaged on.
We're hitting big 3-item spikes all over the place, Mr. Zimmerman. We got an Infinity Edge for Gavoto. We've got a Void Staff for Seiya. Both of these guys, by the way, still no
But
deaths
I do
throughout the whole
slight
game.
edits of the
They're
design.
looking really good, the two primary
Sitting
carries
down,
of Isserus.
sitting
Like I was saying, Seiya is someone who,
on my
when I was
kinda
watching, I was just so impressed with his
teams.
positioning. Almost never caught out, never not able to do damage, always contributing positively in team fights. And I think he is, you know, for a reason, one of the best players in Latin American history. He's absolutely incredible and in a position right now to continue carrying with the Zhonya's completed, with the Everfrost, and just so many lockdown tools available for the Lissandra can win these fights for them.
Oh, let's see. We
So,
got Ghost versus
he's
Ghost
basically
here.
the
Elyoya going after
inspiration.
ADD's out. He's going to have all of the Mad Lions coming up behind him. ADD's saying, all right, dude, you're on your own. There's no way I'm going to save you here. Grell trying to just continue the 1v1 against this horse. Normally that's a matchup a shotgun's going to win, but it's looking a little rough here. Elyoya has to back away. Holy moly, Grell's trying to fight him off. Elyoya getting another devastating charge, comes in. Grell staying alive still. He's bought so much time, but the space isn't going to get him a whole lot more. And finally, the Mad Lions run him down.
Almost 1v3 by Grell there, stacking up the grip, making sure that Elyoya's damage was not that significant, given that he did not go that Muramana build and could kite out the magic damage from the rest of Mad Lions there. I wonder if ADD stuck around, if they could have turned that. There were multiple members of Mad Lions who kind of pulled off that play and assumed that 3 people up there were enough, so maybe it would have been
Right.
So
2
yeah,
kills going
basically
over.
the
But either way,
sign
Grell
of-
bought enough time. That's always the scary thing when it's your jungler getting caught out, is giving the Baron and force Elyoya back, but Mad Lions still want to force on top of this after the reset.
Yeah, I love the fact that Mad Lions are at least going to start this up. They're going to force Isserus to come answer. They know they have a 5v4 for the next 10 seconds, and the 4 is missing a jungler. There's no chance for a steal. Great Baron take from Mad Lions.
Okay, I thought Isserus, with how strong their team fight is in this situation, maybe could still force it, but I understand without Grell there, that extremely fed member on their team did not actually want to take that risk, so they just seed the Baron over. That pickoff does come through, taking out the enemy jungler, gives Mad Lions a window for their second Baron of the game.
Mad Lions getting a big bonus with that one. I also want to draw your attention over to Armit, who is now almost 100 CS above his opponent. He has 3 fully completed items, working on that 4th. This Gnar could very easily be an X factor, especially in a river fight on a mountain rift. Let's see how this Drake fight goes down. Scuttle Crab, the initial focus here from the side of Isserus. They'll secure that one for themselves. Look at Armit. Look at how charged up the bar is. He's ready to come in on the flank, but ADD's going to mark him, keep him zoned out. Mad Lions still giving the aggro here on the Drake itself.
He's bow
Niski
guy
throws the
with,
Weaver's wall through, tries to cut Isserus
not
off
bow.
on another. Jelly goes
He's
in.
with the
There's
lance
follow-up.
and his
Kaiser's going to be
electro.
caught here in the front, but Gavoto is finally pressured as Elyoya goes into the back line. Jelly dies first. Unforgiven taking the kill on that one as Armit is causing a ruckus in the back. As ADD looks to finish him off, it's already 3 dead on Isserus. It's a double kill back over to Niski. The Mad Lions roar to life, and Grell can't do anything about it. ADD, the last man standing. Run, Horn, run!
You see if he can get away, but at this point, Mad Lions found that back-breaking fight they needed. Armit's going to be left to stop ADD from getting off any sort of recall. Will get the teleport through. I don't think Armit has enough damage to stop that one.
Nope.
But
So
the
how's
rest
the
of Mad
phone
Lions
call
already
with the
turned
internet
lane,
provider
winning
going?
that fight, breaking it up, not giving Isserus an easy single target to wipe off the map. They had made such a chaotic situation there that they could not actually finish off any of the members of Mad Lions. They grabbed that turret. Now they're going to grab this dragon to stop the stacking for the side of Isserus.
But they reimburse
Getting that
you
gold lead up
already.
much higher now.
That gold lead is 7,000 for the Mad Lions. They finally stopped Gavoto. They finally threw a wrench in the gears of the AoE teamfight machine, and Mad Lions seems to have it figured out.
Yeah, you want this kind of instant burst by the side of Isserus, but you see Seiya trying to get on top of Unforgiven, gets a lot of damage down, but the MF ult is just a little too short to actually hit Unforgiven. Doesn't finish off Kaiser, can't finish him off. On the backside of the fight, Armit, like you were saying, keeping Gavoto busy this entire time. Seiya was also getting pinged down by Niski because he was not able to finish off Unforgiven, so they were just not able to find any one of these targets. Grell also not really in a position to contribute the way that he had in the previous team fights running forward. You can see he's still a force to be reckoned with, but without the rest of the early kills coming through, the sustained damage available, the shielding, the healing, all the things that the Seraphine can do is just too much.
All right, so what do we want to see Mad Lions do now? As real quick, I do want to touch on this graph because it's Grell, the standout damage chart topper of the entire game, but overall higher values for the Mad Lions as a team. Their Baron's expiring. How do they close this one out quick and clean?
I think that they're eventually going to go back to another Baron setup. They've done a very good job at those, aside from that first one where they all ended up in the pit, but I think they know better than that this time around. Actually have to commit to a turn and finding someone. I also got to say, just Arma is so insanely far ahead. If you look at the gold, he's over 5,000 gold ahead. Just getting his Flame Horizon online now will continue getting further and further ahead of ADD. No one can stop him 1v1 on the side lane.
So they rank like 12
hours
hours
when you do start doing these Baron setups, you don't need to full commit to it. You can just pressure them and buy space for Armit to work 1v1 down on enemies in the side lane.
You are not
level
dumb,
18,
and you are not
highest level in
bitch.
the game. No one else
This
is really
is
close to
not
Nisky,
mine.
I guess. At 17 is the only other one on their side, but ADD 3 levels down.
And one of the big things I'm looking at here, 4-item power spikes. They're online.
Like I've
for
ordered
Mad
now
Lions.
the
You've
Black
got the Force
Brush
of Nature there for Armit. You've
pen.
got the Rabadon's Death Cap for Nisky. Even in the
That will make it
Seraphine
a bit more
inventory,
easier.
Cosmic Drive, Void Staff, Seraphs, they've got a big advantage over Isurus right now, who are still sitting on components for those 4th items in most positions. I'm looking to see Mad continue to keep the pressure online.
Yeah, I like this. They're hovering around mid. They're keeping them forced there while Armit has the pressure in the bot lane. Keeping Isurus confined to their base, no way to push down and get wards in advance of whenever the Dragon and the Baron come up. Both of them respawning at around the exact same time, 2.5 minutes out basically for both of them. But with how much pressure Mad have, there's no way for Isurus to set up, get wards for TP flanks. If Seiya wants to try and come in from the backside of a team fight, and because he's the only one with the strength to really contest Armit, that means that one of your biggest damage dealers and setup for CC and engage won't be there. Yes, ADD, if he's the one grouped with your team, has plenty of engage as a norm, but it's not quite the same backline threat that Seiya could bring if he was the one who was grouped with your team.
Alrighty, my friend, we have some troubling waters here for Isurus. They've put up a really good fight so far, but honestly, just the past couple of fights from the Mad Lions have been such different makers. I feel like the game's just been blown wide open. It's pretty hard for Mad to lose from this point.
Yeah, Mad are looking good, but I gotta say, this is an absolute banger for a first game of Worlds. The hosts in Latin America, Mexico City, Isurus Gaming going up toe-to-toe with Mad Lions. They're on the back foot now, but I think keeping this game closer than a lot of people were expecting, myself included. I thought Mad Lions, especially with the early kills that they got in the game, would just run away with this one, but showing a lot of toughness from Isurus here, but will be very difficult to actually come back from here with the amount of control that Mad Lions have.
Yeah, we remember back, to the start of the game, it was Jelly, the free kill at 44 seconds into the game. It was the 2-for-0 in top, where Armit just barely lived kiting him out. Mad Lions had a great start. Isurus was able to strike back well in some of those teams.
So are you still on the line with them, or are they just running something while you just basically...
Some moments where they were able to really show up and punish them. But now, Mad Lions has learned, okay, these guys aren't pushovers. We got to respect them. We can't just give them freebies. And they're playing in a way that's forcing Isurus to have to not get those setups they're looking for. They're playing in a way where they can push back and punish.
Alrighty, well, Baron is spawned now. It looks like there's a bit of a disjoint between the graphic and this. We're actually going to get it for free now for Mad Lions with this wall by Nisky.
Okay, Nisky just blocks everybody off. It's so hard to get in there. The Baron is secured. Mad Lions got it. Where's the rest of the fight? Jelly wants to lead the way. The bullet time ain't going to do a whole lot, but it's a 1-for-1 trade. Both supports are down. ADD stuck in the front. El Yoya cuts him to pieces. And now the rest of Isurus got to try to get themselves away. El Yoya flies at him like a bat out of hell. And there's no way out for Grell and Gavoto. Grell will continue trying to get away from that one, but the horse is a horse, of course. And there's another one, Gavoto, the only one left, but he won't be such for long. Armit can deal with him, no problem. Save the Meganar ulti just for style.
Yeah, gets the last kill there onto Gavoto. Armit has come alive in these last 2 team fights, making it hell for the AD carry Isurus, and Mad Lions should be able to close the game out from here with 2 nice Baron setups. Absolutely clinical in that last one.
Yeah,
making sure that Isurus had to run right into the Mad Lions, get their first win of Worlds.
Do you trust them like that?
First game with the hometown champs going
Or
up
you
against
basically
the
have no
LEC
choice?
seed, but the Mad Lions prove too ferocious, and they will take the first win of Worlds 2022.
Looking very good there. El Yoya 7, 2, and 10. got so fed this game, was an absolute force. Niski, despite some early game struggles, when we started getting picked off in the side lane, 8, 4, and 8 had some really nice Weaver's Walls at the end to make sure that these fights were very difficult for Isrus to finish off, and there you go. A nice start for them, already on the board.
Isrus did a good job focusing Niski as well. They're like, okay, if this guy just wants to move everywhere else and help all the other teammates, why don't we just hit him instead? If we know he's always going to be showing up, he can't show up to help himself.
You can't help yourself. Well, you can, I guess, but they made it difficult for him. And I think for Isrus, this is a good showing that makes it scary for teams going forward, that they'll have to try and find someone else. And with that game done, CaptainSlayers, you were not at Worlds last year. You took it off for mental health reasons. I just want to say, welcome back to Worlds, buddy. Casting your first game.
Oh, hell yeah, I love these things. Confetti. Oh. Hell yeah. Mad Lions, bring it back. We got confetti, and we're breaking down the win at the State Farm Analyst Desk. Nice. Good to have you back at Worlds, Captain Parson. A surprising amount of confetti. Packed into that thing right there. It just kept coming down.
I just love how he has the same enthusiasm level every time it gets popped.
Yeah, that Skarner almost on the same level. Let's talk about this game, because while Mad Lions did come away with the win, I don't think it came as easily as maybe some people just would have expected rather, of this team in best of ones. We'll start, though, by talking about the draft, because obviously we had a lot of questions about where teams would go, in particular where these mid laners and supports might go.
Yeah, and this did end up being a game that was mostly played around top lane in the early game. Part of that is dictated by Misfortune and Seraphine being in the bot lane. I think Hecarim is another pick that we're going to be seeing a lot of, at least from, I'd say, like European and North American teams who would more likely scrim each other. So it was a very interesting draft. I think Mad played towards their strengths that we talked about during the pre-show, and I thought Isrus played a little bit more to scale, but made it a very close game.
And what does it mean then?
Isrus' plan was
If
very
it's
interesting
Sava?
because we did see them trying to like keep Niski down. ADD actually roamed mid a couple of times, hoping he could find something. Sadly, I mean, sadly for them, good for Mad. Usually able to get the best of them. And, you know, it also helps when Niski starts off with a bit of a free first blood.
This was baffling, and I know we didn't get to see, like, the first couple seconds of it, right? Like, we came into the game, and boom, there Jelly was getting murdered. But when you get to start off with an extra tier as a Talia, because he got to back off of that before the first wave, it just sets him up to be able to push and roam to these side lanes so frequently like we expected he would.
Yeah, and I think especially, right, getting that early tier, getting towards an early Seraphs where Talia, such low cooldowns, being able to get that damage off so consistently. We saw as the game progressed that, okay, Mad, kind of their own worst enemies. It's something that Vetty was telling me was a staple of Mad in the regular season. Like, they're going to put themselves in a hole that they can dig themselves out of. And it felt like Niski actually was one of the big members having huge pop-off team fights later in the game.
Yeah, 30.9% of the team's damage. Definitely had to do some of the heavier lifting afterwards. I thought Elyoya would be who this comp is built around, but then he did the Divine Sunderer into full tank build, which I wasn't expecting to see if you're going to be running Hecarim Seraphine, but they clutched it out in the end.
That's true. I was thinking, well, they didn't have a Yuumi, so that's why. But you're right, they had a Seraphine right alongside that Leona. We saw there as well that, yeah, Niski was putting out big damage, had a solid KDA. There were a couple lapses in the mid game, got caught out bot lane, got caught out top lane kind of right after that. And that is kind of some of those moments where it started to get a little scary for Matt. Of course, the Baron as well, people are going to look at. And that's where I think we do, again, have to give our nod to Isrus Gaming and their ability in taking this more scaling-oriented and kind of wombo combo-y, you know, team fight composition, that they did find a few very good looks.
And honestly, I loved it. And it's so nice to, like, see kind of the growth of some of these regions over the years to where we have these competitive games. You know, they went on a composition that is seen as, you know, a bit easier to execute. They did a pretty good job of, like, playing around picks on sides with the Lissandra and the Graves. They were the ones setting Niski behind. And then, you know, about half the time, they found the wombo combo that won them the fight. Again, luckily for Mad, they started to figure out how to play around them very well, not grouping up too tight-knit in an area like they sadly did at the Baron.
Yeah, this is where the game got a little bit interesting. I think only having one Drake wanting to try and accelerate the game, Mad tried to take a big swing here, but
yeah,
ISG had a really good punish to actually take Baron off of all of them, and this is where people definitely started to sweat a little bit if you're an LEC fan, but ultimately they were able to come out in the end.
Yeah, this Grave started to get scary, but ultimately they'd lock it up. I like you calling out the fact that at that point, or rather that first Drake that we saw go go through was pretty late into the game. And just in general, Jad, I think this keys into something that you expected to take place in this tournament, which is to have game times extend a little bit, particularly given kind of that conversation about how maybe bot lane isn't going to be quite as strong, and so maybe a little bit less focus around the Dragon from the beginning.
It could definitely happen. Niski did so much work in this fight, by the way. That's probably the majority of his damage in the game actually happened in this fight. But 37 minutes, 58 seconds in this one. If the game is being played around top side, but you don't snowball to a 20-minute victory, the game will go very long because Dragon is generally the accelerator for a lot of these games. So only 4 Drakes taken in this one. No one actually approached the Soul. So it could have actually ended up being even longer with how close it looked like it was going to be before Mad won a few clutch team fights to end it out.
Yeah, so while Izurus made him work for it, we saw there in the gold graph, it never slipped.
Yeah, I know what
out
you mean.
of
I like
control,
Halloween
and they're
as
able to
well.
lock up
Well,
their first best of one here in
no,
play,
I
and so
don't.
big congrats
Like,
to them.
I don't mind
All right,
Halloween.
but coming up though, we've got our feature matchup presented by Mercedes. It's EU versus NA, Evil Geniuses versus Fnatic. It's coming up next. We'll see you here.
Don't ever say it's over if I'm breathing. Racing to the moonlight and I'm speeding. I'm headed to the stars, ready to go far. I'm start walking. Don't ever say it's over if I'm breathing. Racing to the moonlight and I'm speeding. I'm headed to the stars, ready to go far. I'm start walking. I wanna see the world now, baby, let's go. It's nothing but a green light, it's ready to roll. Only you, you're the one that I want. Only you, you're the one that I want. You got me feeling so free.
You know, like, I don't mind, but I don't like when someone's talking. I don't like scary movies.
Behind 1 billion hours of dropped jewels. Behind every match, every broadcast, every moment at League of Legends World Championship 2022 is the network capable of making it all happen. The Cisco Network, aka The Realm. Cisco, powering the future of esports.
You know, I like the idea of Halloween, but it's just like, I don't like this spookiness. I'm very easy to make a jump and everything, and I'm like quite very much affected by sounds and visuals. I need to have it kind of calm down. Like it really annoys me, and then yeah, I don't feel comfortable with something keep flashing or something, or loud noises. Noises I think the worst for me. Maybe because I'm very sensitive on the sound. It's like quite often when I watch the streams, etc. I just have my headset like basically it's next on my desk, just like basically over here, and I have just the sound on that. I think it's coming up nicely together.
Welcome back to Worlds 2022. For our first feature matchup presented by Mercedes-Benz, we have a spicy game between Europe and North America. Representing North America, we have the LCS Spring Champions, Evil Geniuses, led by their rookie Jojo Pyun.
Now mid lane! Oh, Abadaga! He's in trouble! Jojo with the perfect healing!
They will be facing off against a team that has had to constantly overcome adversity when it comes to international tournaments, Fnatic.
Humanoid misses the absconder touch as well, but Humanoid dives onto Trippy, that's one! He's looking to make it three, can he make the outplay to win the game? That's two! Humanoid, you absolute monster!
In this opening Mercedes featured matchup, we'll not only get our first glimpse of what the world's meta will develop into, but we'll also see who will strike first between Western rivals.
Yeah, I'm definitely like very sound stuff like. I like the sounds, like I like very classical music. With the strong,
Hello,
like
everyone,
quite
welcome back
often
to
when I
Worlds
listen
of
to
Play, and
music,
it's
I
time
listen
for
to
our
music, I
featured
don't
matchup
listen to
presented by
lyrics
Extern
per
State
se.
Mercedes. The classic battle of West versus East.
I
With
like
that
the
being said,
sound
just
of
the West,
music.
not the East. It's
I
just
like
two
to
Western
feel the
regions.
music,
These
if
teams
that makes
will look a little
sense.
bit different today, though, as we pull up
I
the
like the
roster. We'll start
melody,
on
I like the
Fnatic side
powerfulness
things.
of it.
It's been quite a bit
I love
of
the
talk within
energy.
the community. The
I
fact
draw
that
energy
Fnatic will be
from
playing
that.
without their full roster. Lucky to be
So
able
I
to bring
always
in
have like the
upset in
music
final
on.
moment, but Hilly still a day behind due to COVID. Will be arriving with the team ideally to play on stage tomorrow.
Yeah, and I mean, like we just saw in the promo, right? Sadly for Fnatic, not really a new situation for them having to lean back on subs coming in. Great that Upset is here, but I think even looking at Fnatic overall, right? Them coming into the year, not only into Summer Split, but with this roster, right? Wonder coming over from G2, Razork coming from Misfits, Humanoid in the mid lane, who was definitely a top 2 mid laner in the LEC last year. I think it's a bit strange how they ended up getting to Worlds, right? They come into summer, they barely even qualify. I think in their last week, only like 10% of scenarios had them making it, and then they had to go on that 3-series miracle run.
Yeah, they had to basically win all of their games at the end of the regular season, and then they had to win 3 consecutive best-of-5s to get into this spot. They lost their 4th best-of-5, so they weren't the LEC champions, but definitely a sigh of relief to be at the World Championship that immediately gets pulled back in and turns into anxiety when they realize that if they don't win this group, they will then have to win a best-of-5, maybe region kill against Mad Lions, or maybe up against a team like DRX.
They're gonna be the team that kicks out DRX for me.
So this game, right, with 4/5 of their intended roster, is likely the most important playing game that they will face.
Yeah, I think that is super important to highlight. The stakes of this matchup, one, because as we've mentioned, it's a single round robin. So just every matchup matters that much. But because their first matchup is against EG, who most consider to be the other top favorite in this group, winning this one here, trying to secure that 1 seed so you can bypass any of those best-of-5s, they would like a much shorter road to groups than their road was to play-ins, I think.
First place is by far the most important thing in any of these groups, and it's not like EG is all roses either.
Exactly. So while we talk about Fnatic having to play without one of their main starters, it's a similar situation for EG, albeit slightly different.
Yeah.
They had to make this adjustment going into finals weekend regionally here in the LCS. Danny, the AD carry, the sophomore AD carry for Evil Geniuses, stepping down due to mental health reasons, and we had Cowrie slotting in. Now, while they would not pick up the LCS championship, Jat, he had some impressive individual performances in a best-of-5 final situation in front of a crowd as a rookie.
Yeah, his Lucian play was awesome in this series. Once they banned Lucian, he wasn't able to continue. They had about 2 days worth of practice before this, which is going to be the situation Fnatic is in now. So this isn't going to be the EG roster that went 15-3 in Summer Split, but they at least have had more time to try and gel with the new look than Fnatic will have had. But you can see this was a very close competitive series. They actually demolished a couple of games like this one that was on screen. So still very capable. They still have the MVP and Inspired. They still have JoJo. They have Impact. They have so many powerful players.
I also just have some curiosities because, again, as we talk about his Lucian performances being really solid, he was also the player on EG that was more akin to playing picks like Kalista or Draven, and we've seen already from that first pick ban phase. Those were the picks that were going straight to the ban table, the ones that people consider to be strong right now. So who knows? This might be a meta suited towards Cowrie. But I love where you're talking, or you're going to the other players around the map, because that is kind of what EG was charged with in losing Danny, was everyone else has to now cover for this hole that is left in the roster. And so I guess the question is, like, when you look at somebody like Inspired, right, a phenomenal player, like, what can he bring to the table today? An MVP across both of the regions that are represented here in this matchup.
I feel like his resume just speaks for himself just based off that note, right? He's able to get so much work done, and it's crazy to me because, like, when I watch EG, he's not necessarily the most, like, insane, super aggressive jungler. He's smart. He, like, picks the right moments, knows when to play around, you know, which lanes have prio. Typically, you know, it was a lot around that bottom side, but I feel like Inspired just does such a good job at picking those perfect moments.
First, the wording here is weird. First double major region regular season MVP. But that's still a crazy stat.
It is nuts.
Both summer splits going into Worlds. I also got to call out, like, the rest of the team. It's interesting what EG had to do in playoffs, because even when they were playing with Danny in playoffs, they were still playing a different style than they played for the majority of the regular season. So I really want to see how the rest of the team steps up and who they define to be their carry in this. And is it going to be JoJo? You know, is kind of my question, because Impact, while he has had some games where you can play around him with Renekton, is traditionally just such a powerful tank and frontline player, and it would be JoJo's time to shine. He is a player to me that seems very unaffected by pressure, right? He definitely has the ability to have a not caring attitude, which is very important when you have all the history and baggage that comes with NA versus EU matchups.
And, you know, I feel like JoJo's just the most exciting player to come out of NA in years, whether it's on the Rift or online.
Or off,
Exactly. The things that he says.
Whether you play Singed in Champions Queue and Trolls People.
I don't think this is the game where we get it, by the way. But I would love
I do also want to just give that small highlight to Impact, because I feel like one thing just throughout his career, which I guess something you would know very well, is it feels like internationally, it feels like he does always just, like, step up that little bit more than, like, what you see domestically. So it'd be pretty cool if we do get, you know, Impact maybe with, you know, a bit of a carry look in some games.
We have similar conversations even domestically between regular season and playoffs for Impact, and I've heard Jat talk about it in the past. I mean, especially when you have a player with a career as long, you know, as Impact's, like, you have to manage your energy.
Yeah.
Right? And you can't go 100% the whole year. That's where we see issues of burnout. And it does feel like part of Impact's longevity is that he has mastered that equation for himself. It's a different equation for everyone.
Yes.
But he does seem to be able to manage his energy and turn it on in the right moments when there is pressure involved.
You're absolutely right with Impact, so expect good things from Impact. And this is the game to show it, right? Like, he's up against Wonder. It's a very experienced, extremely successful top laner as well. So that's going to be a great matchup to watch.
Now, we kind of talked about a lot of the individuals on EG's side. Let's kind of pull in their matchups entirely. So I'm going to jump back to the jungle here. And while we talk about Inspire, we have to talk about the other side of that matchup in Razork. So, again, this is a two-time MVP across two different regions. How well equipped is Razork, you know, to deal with Inspire?
These stats are crazy. When we first saw them...
Well, oh, right. We asked to double check.
Yeah, because Razork stats look better.
They look a lot better.
Especially from this side. And part of this is playoffs, where Inspired was taking more of a back seat and EG wasn't finding as much success. But so much of Fnatic's power comes from the early game success of their jungle.
Yeah, I mean, he won MVP of every series that they won on that miracle run to get here. It really feels like the early game is all in his hands, and it's about him, being able to lead that charge, help transition the mid game. Then when Upset can start to pick up the slack, but especially now when we have things like Graves, like we just saw, Hecarim, which could have a huge impact. It feels like when your defining player is your jungler, that Razor can have a huge impact here.
Yeah, I mean, Hecarim is going to be an interesting because I could just as easily see EG and Inspired wanting to jump for that. Yeah, those gold differential numbers at 14 is what I'm clinging to. This idea that, I mean, if they were to repeat their averages there, that would be a 300 gold swing just between those two players.
Yeah.
In a sense. But I do wonder, with EG, as we talked about all season long, their ability to team fight and find mid-game answers, right? It was never necessarily about like, oh yeah, Inspired's gonna run over the early game. That's where I come back to your point about JoJo.
Yeah.
And whether or not he can really find those moments to shine in what is a changing and shifting mid lane meta, right?
Yeah.
Or is he still equipped with the same kind of champions and a champion pool that can 1v5. Let's not forget, they were moments away from busting out of best of fives when he was on picks like Swain.
Yeah.
Flash, smite, steal, and then 1v5ing the fight by, it's just like, can he still do that?
Those NA playoffs were really wild. Yeah, you're giving me flashbacks to when we almost didn't see EG here at all, but you can say the same thing about Fnatic. So, the mid lane matchup, JoJo versus Humanoid.
Humanoid, yeah.
If you go back a year, like these are two big off-season acquisitions. Humanoid was the kind of crown jewel of Fnatic's off-season, and I think some of these stats paint their play style fairly well, specifically kill participation. You can say Humanoids looks low, but that's also because they're just not playing through mid, whereas a lot of what EG does is they will play through mid so they can play through sides, whereas Fnatic goes directly to the bot lane in a lot of their games.
Yeah, and I feel like how Humanoid does is going to be such a telling sign for Fnatic at Worlds overall, because I know sentiment in LEC was that, you still see the laning stats are there. He can show up in that 1v1, but finding that impact, especially linking up with Razork or overall with the team, just wasn't really there. So especially if we get into this meta where it is going to be still about playing towards sides, playing towards your jungler, I think it could be a little bit rough for Humanoid, but with the tenure he's had, I think he can pull through.
Yeah, I think obviously his experience is going to be, the thing that kind of helps shift the scales back in his favor. But to your point about what JoJo can get done in the early game, I mean, JoJo himself said it coming off of MSI about what he learned in terms of maybe how the mid lane should be played. And Emily was spouting it all split long, reminding people that this kid is shifting his play style. The spring version of JoJo that we saw is different from the summer version of JoJo, and he very intentionally was trying to move towards that playstyle of getting to the other lanes. That means those CSD numbers are going to drop, where he was a much more dominant laner in spring, far less dominant here in summer, but getting more work done in that kill participation.
Yeah, and I
think even right. Hello everyone. Sorry, I've been
he played against
drawing. Therefore, I'm
Faker, and he talked about
kind
how
of
those players
very
just
focused. So
sacrifice so
thank you
much
very much
of
for
their
the
game,
raid.
which is much
Thank
different
you.
than the type
I
of play
really
you
appreciate it.
playing in the LCS.
A bit
So
different stream
they just
today.
leave, right?
For those
so
who are
Jojo
new
to
on
start
TsarYves
doing that
below.
more in the LCS is
I
instead
usually
of
play
focusing so much on like
Fortnite,
player
DBD,
and winning
Genshin,
every trade,
and
just leave,
everything
because sometimes that can be
around.
a such larger win than the 3 minions that you're going to
It
get.
finished.
extra
Oh my
from.
god, 4 odds!
So
Wow.
peculiar just to think about
Sorry
how
for that.
the game of League of Legends
Well, so I was
evolved
saying
and
hello
shifted, right?
everyone.
Yeah,
Apologies for the delay.
would,
A bit
I
different
think
stream
most
today.
people,
I've been
most
drawing.
people would still argue that like mid lane is the most important role. It's important
So
in
a
a
bit
completely different way
different thing.
nowadays than it was maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, right? It was more
I'm
about
sorry.
getting to the mid lane,
I usually
accelerating
play
that player,
Fortnite,
and letting that player
DBD,
dominate in team fights on picks like
Genshin,
Syndra or Orianna, LeBlanc.
and anything
Nowadays,
between,
yeah,
fellas.
it's completely the opposite. Still
I
an
used to
important
play
role
League
because
of
nothing gets done
Legends a
unless
lot,
the mid laner,
but
links
recently
up
I
with
kind of
someone to go
stopped.
get it done.
I think
But
that
it's not about
was a
accelerating
bit
the mid laner.
too toxic,
It's about
and I
accelerating
needed a
those other
mental
lanes.
break
I
from
think
it.
you can probably make that
So,
point on a lot of roles.
yeah,
Like,
here I
the
am.
support role even changed. It
Now
goes top
drawing
or
some
depending on the meta
characters,
than it
the
ever did
manga
in the past,
characters.
right? The AD
This one is
role
actually
moving up
inspired
from
by
midfield and leaving their lane.
Genshin
That's changed so many
new
times depending on if you're lane swapping or if Dragon is
character
strong.
called
Currently,
Sino.
I think it's going to be for Rift Herald moves. So it's an evolution. Like the League of Legends that's being played now is so much more refined, actually, than it was 4 or 5 years ago.
Now, just a quick update for people at home. Due to,
didn't
again,
hear
the evolving
for
COVID
this
situation,
stuff
we're setting
yet.
up a number of, if not the
Get there in
entire
the
team of
game yet.
Fnatic
I'm
in
not
COVID
really
isolation
playing that
rooms,
much
as well as a
today.
couple members of EG. And so,
There was
Nor
a
yesterday.
Vault update posted on the LoL Esports Twitter account that
basically
explains a little bit about why we're
just
there you go. So check that out if you want more in-depth detail as to what is going on. But again, while we continue to get those
drawing.
PCs and those rooms kind of swapped out, players ready to go,
The
we continue
character
to
I'm
chat.
gonna
But
play.
I think at this point we can expand out a little bit. Try to beat a dead horse over a matchup that we haven't even seen play out yet. It's we've only seen one game. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is. And so, okay, well, let's talk about NA versus specifically EG reference. Yeah, you represent. I know I'm saying the rep. We talked about EG's experience inside. While this is a different EG went through this against right? Inside, so now again, we talk about mentality. That's something that whether you want to give it credence or not is gonna be sitting in the back of your brain. You know, like last time they couldn't get one off of it team, and so I mean it's gonna
changing
mean a
my
lot
voice.
for them
Let
if
me
they can
move
get
back to the normal one.
Yeah, and again, like
There's
there's a
no
spot
awkwardness.
having the sub, so but if they can pull out the win, especially I think if they could do it in a different way to where we hit on earlier about seeing which members from EG, but honestly I think the argument goes towards Fnatic as well, step up, then that to me is where EG can build confidence. If it's not just a JoJo pops off type of game.
I'm on the
and
different screen than usual. I don't even
someone else
see
stepping up.
for what
You
voice
had to put,
did
had to
it
put an image
change.
to it, right? Yeah, it's just like that's the twist of the dagger right there.
So I'm
let's talk
basically
about
now,
how, we've talked a little bit about how
I
meta will
still
affect
don't have
certain
the
roles.
black
I'm actually
pens,
curious
and
to jump
those
back to
pens which
Impact
I bought
just
for
as a
the skin, I
personal
need to return them. I don't really
again,
like them.
a player with such a storied career has played, again, won a world championship and has a Jax skin, but probably more recently in his
That
career
reminds
known for more tanks, right? You know, his ability to team fight, play anything from the Orns to the Shens to the Mords to the Nars, the Maokais, whatever, right? And there has been talk about buffs
To do Amazon return?
things like that. Is this the kind of situation where you'd actually want to see or expect Impact to try and go learn those things, quote unquote, relearn those things, practice those things more, or stick to his guns and be the guy who can continue to absorb that pressure and just outperform other weak side top winners. Be the best weak side.
So I'm Shatter, you're Shatter. I'm gonna take a break then, go back. I got 15 minutes of sleep last night. That's absolutely right, Taven. That's absolutely right.
How their practice is going.
Okay.
Because
Are you
when
streaming
EG
tomorrow
was
so I
the team that
can
was consistently
pop
able to
over?
play around Danny,
Because
we saw he was very comfortable playing weak side,
like,
but in playoffs he was just playing Aatrox.
I don't get
and things that
notifications
could do
because
a lot of damage. I don't
my
think he would
OCD
actually ever go to the Camille or
it's like
Fiora,
that.
but
It
if
really
he's
annoys me
playing
when I
a
have the
high-resource
others
bruiser,
on.
Aatrox or Gnar that's
So,
able to play
but if I
around,
know
then
someone's
I'd say they actually
schedule,
don't have that much
then I'm
faith
trying always to
who
kind of
the
hop
meta is
over.
not going to be around bot lane. But then if we do see them playing like a Sejuani flex pick or an Ornn early in the draft, that means things have been going very well for them with Cowrie in the bot lane. That's kind of my read on that. He's played both sides so far this year.
Final thoughts here?
I also feel like just coming throughout the tournament overall, right? Assuming EG can make a run, that we will need to see a bit of diversity come out from him, because going up against LCK or LPL top laners can be very hard. And even looking at Wonder. Like, Wonder throughout his career has been able to play everything. Thinking back to the Pyke days, I mean, he's pulled out tanks, he's pulled out enchanters, he's pulled out literally everything.
Yeah, I do. I love that the first champ on the list was Pyke. That is so perfect for who knows what we're going to get in this game. I'm told that the players are near readying up, but while they continue getting set up through their COVID isolation setups and while they finish up, we're going to step away. We'll see you on the other side for Fnatic versus Evil Geniuses.
Waking up at midnight, dreaming all day long. Maybe I'm nocturnal, baby, maybe I was wrong. Been on both sides now, looking for you. Don't feel the pain when I'm asleep, find peace and all is blue. Shake, shake, shaking me through the car. It's break, break, breaking me like waves on the shore. Keep
Hello.
Welcome back to World's Playing. Guess who it is? It's your favorite trio. Hey! Dash Jad, Lyric. Yeah. As you can see, we're still a little bit delayed waiting for Vulcan to get to his seat. Yeah, I know. We're talking about, look, guys, we're going to come up with some games to play. Tomorrow we'll be a little bit more prepared for delays. We'll have an easel. We can play Hangman. We were talking about getting the telestarter out. We didn't have enough time to move it into position. So where do we want to go? You got more thoughts? I know you got a lot of thoughts.
Okay.
You had a whole 11 thoughts this week.
One of them,
just the whole week, you had 11 thoughts.
11 thoughts for the start of Worlds. One of them is how different the play-in format now is and how unforgiving it is now. So there are layers of forgiveness in the play-in format. So. Let's say like 5 years ago, they used to call it the International Wildcard Tournament.
Right. Yep.
Which basically meant anyone that had a major region designation literally wasn't allowed to play in that tournament.
Yeah.
So it guaranteed some teams that were not in a major region would make it through to the group stage. It's evolved a few times over the years. Now some regions have gotten 4th seeds added. In fact, 3 of them, they're all in this tournament. And now there are actually 4 group stage slots available for 5 major region teams and what they now call non-major regions, emerging regions, playing regions, whatever you want to designate them. So
7 other teams.
So it's absolutely brutal for these teams to try and make it through. So it's not guaranteed whatsoever that Fnatic or EG make it through. And the reason we talk about the #1 seed being so important in this group, #1 seed auto-qualifies.
Yeah.
If you're not first, it actually doesn't really matter how messy it gets. Because you can get all the way down to 4th to guarantee yourself chances at best of 5s. So after this single round robin is played through once, you're going to have a best of 5 between the 3rd seed and the 4th seed of each of these 6-team groups. So as long as you're not bottom 2, you're not eliminated right away.
Right.
And then 3 will cross-play 2 between Group A and B. So if you're not first, it's actually a little bit of an experimentation. But for this game in particular, as the 2 group favorites, EG and Fnatic, it actually does mean the world.
I was going to say, so basically in older formats for play-ins, the round robin, your placement in the round robin was more important. You had to be higher to still be alive in terms of BO5s to play through. Nowadays, you have more leniency in your best of 1 performance, but then you have to play possibly, 2 grueling best of 5s, and that's where I think there are almost less elements of safety for emerging region teams, because generally we look at best of 5s and we say that's actually where major region teams should succeed. When you give them the benefit of at least, 3 games, right? You can't just get upset a single time and be out. You kind of have that extra room to work with. And so, it is. It's an interesting evolution of the format. I'm going to be very curious to see how it all plays out. And I think it does leave some interesting, just the fact alone that one of those 5 major region teams isn't going to make it through is making a lot of people wonder who's it going to be, and we took some bets on that.
It's kind of funny too, because even though like the best of 1s are kind of now more forgiving, at the same time, it feels like getting first seed is even more important.
Exactly.
Having so many major region teams, because it's like, again, do you want to have to play best of 5 against RNG, DRX, Fnatic? Like,
No, it's weird to think about, especially when you just think about this group, right? And how we talk about these two teams that are about to play are considered the two favorites. But I'm actually worried for the second seed.
yeah,
Right?
Yes.
Like, that's the thing, is like I think both of these teams are essentially equally capable of getting the first seed, but whoever just doesn't get it, I'm actually concerned, does not make groups anymore. And that is pretty wild to say, that you can finish top 2 in your group, but really not have a great shot at making it.
So, like, predicting games is one thing. Predicting which team doesn't make it out.
Well, I said DRX, I already
can't.
predicted.
You don't think DRX is making it
That
out?
was my
That was your
prediction.
50-50.
That
Oh,
was
it's
his
true.
thing, yeah.
True.
Because I was saying, it's a very specific scenario where I think
Yeah.
Mad is going to beat them out for the second seed.
Okay.
So DRX is going to be the third seed in their group. They will win the 3 versus 4 seed best of 5.
And then lose to one of these
But they will lose to one of these two teams in the best of 5. So I'm just predicting that a 50-50 chance. It was my
Yeah,
50%
yeah,
prediction,
yeah.
but in 50% of cases, I think they'll drop a best of 5 to either EG or Fnatic.
Yeah, but your other point I want to reiterate
Yeah.
is this group is easy, Group A is easy for the first seed, but it is actually worse for second and third.
Yeah.
Because the crossplay is likely DRX Mad.
Exactly.
Or, because it's best of 1s, you might be in a best of 5 against RNG. Like, Death could pop off, win one game against RNG, DRX's first seed, RNG suddenly has to have a best of 5. So, in some ways, it's actually better to be in B if your ultimate goal is to make it to
That's true.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, again, even like leaning back on teams like Saigon Buffalo, right? Whether you're Saigon Buffalo, you're Mad, you're DRX, like, and again, like, it would be hard to beat whether it's EG, Fnatic, whoever in a best of 5, but still a lot better than looking down your own group. So, again, the thing I love about Group A is anyone on this list of teams, I mean, if Fnatic or EG or whoever drop one game, Loud now can get out. You know, Beyond Game
Oh,
can now
totally.
make it through. And it feels like that's what's really exciting, especially after coming off that game 1 where Zuru did have that fight.
Dead FM, right? Coming off of last year,
Yeah.
furthest they've ever gone in the tournament. Yes, they're starting in play-ins here, so they're going to have to do a lot of work to even get back to that point of last year. But
And-
I mean, that's another team you don't want to overlook.
Well, yeah, they actually did straight up win their group last year.
Yeah.
Over Cloud9. So I think I'm actually a little remiss for not mentioning them at all. We've done nothing but talk about Fnatic and EG as favorites. Literally, both these teams are playing currently without one of their starters from Summer Split. DFM went 18-2, I think maybe 19-2. 3-0 finals have been to Worlds or MSI almost every single year.
Yeah, they don't make a habit of losing.
Yeah, they're a real threat in this group as well. Okay,
I saw some clapping. But,
Oh,
okay, go
are
ahead.
you ready?
No, I don't think so just yet.
you predicted DRX to not make it.
Yes.
out of the play-ins.
Who's your pick?
Well, it's 3 p.m. PST,
Yeah.
which makes it, I'm not very good at math, late in Europe.
Yeah, like midnight. I think it's about 9 hours.
So normally, like, you say anything negative about an LEC team on a World's broadcast, they're like the only ones awake.
Right.
So they can flood a bunch of negative comments.
Exactly.
Maybe that dynamic's changed.
Ah.
Fnatic's not gonna make it out.
So are you gambling on EU gamer bedtimes right now?
A little bit.
You think they all went to bed during this delay? I think you played yourself.
They have 5 players in isolation rooms,
That's true.
right? They haven't actually scrimmed hardly at all.
Not really. No, because people in transit.
Yeah, Hilly's on a plane right now. Upset just got off a plane. Like, the odds are stacked against them. They almost didn't qualify for here. All those compounding factors, I think, make it more likely that they would be the ones
So,
left.
we have LEC fans, we have Loud fans. What other fan bases?
Well,
Yeah,
who
how many
do you
fan
know?
bases can Jap piss
I mean,
off on day number 1?
No, you can pull a trifecta here. You think Loud is going to make it out,
Yeah.
which was one of your 90-50-10.
Yeah, so then who are they
So now you have to tell me 2 major region teams
Oh,
that
that's
aren't going
true.
to make it.
Look.
Yeah.
I want to triple down. I want to think 3
Okay.
major region
Okay,
teams.
let's go.
So you know what? We're gonna go DRX.
Yes.
I'm with James.
You have no faith in depth.
I love Def. Actually, DRX in my mind, Chronicle will argue, are the 5th LPL team because they have 3x LPL players.
Oh,
but
Jesus.
still, sorry, you're not making it through. EG, you know what? It's not your year. 0-6 against G2 at MSI. Maybe they do the same thing here. And then, you know, Fnatic or Mad, we'll lose mad. Fnatic can stay. What? You know, we have Wonder, we have Hilly. We're doing fine. And that way, we can make every other major region mad.
You guys have the world champion, the MSI champions. You want a 5th seed now by drafting DRX
we
into the
didn't
LPL?
ask for the 5th.
It was given on
DRX just takes up Jin and Zeka and
Lordy.
Daft. And
All right, well, hey, I'm actually rooting for that now because I just want to see that wild prediction
chaos.
come true and the chaos of
It would make
of
group
it all.
stage like more traditional though, in terms of the major regions versus non-major regions. So maybe it happens.
All right, there you have it. A little bit of, I don't know, what I would even call it. Speculation. That's a great word for what we just did. We speculated for some time. We're going to hand it over to the casters. Players are still doing final checks and getting into position, but just for a fresh perspective on this matchup, right back over to Captain Flowers and Mark.
Yo, thank you very much, Dash. I don't have anything smart to say, but we do have somebody who does. Welcome to Goldberg for the TriCast.
Happy to be here and happy to share some EU culture with you guys. What you're currently experiencing, and from where I come from, is what we call a Fnatic pause. So usually before a game, it's going to be a longer pause, and we might be here for a while, but sit back, enjoy it. It's part of the process.
I mean, EG or no,
Oh yeah.
yeah, remember the TSM pause? EG was pausing away left and right. Vulcan was talking about it afterwards. It was tactical pauses just to tilt the TSM fan base. So both these teams are masters of the pause meta. We're going to have to see who's able to come out ahead after trying to mentally damage the other one.
And if we wait long enough, Halisang might actually be able to play.
Right, maybe that's the ultimate strategy here. The final Fnatic pause.
He's going to parachute in.
Plane to land. Yeah.
I mean, that's one way to do it, I guess.
Yeah. I'm happy for it.
So, we obviously are bringing Goldberg on to be the EU representative, so I can be as unbiased as I want to, or biased as I want to.
As biased.
As biased as I am. Yeah.
You got a fanboy.
I don't need to pretend anymore.
Yeah.
So, there's two angles to this, because, like, the competitive side is you're disappointed that, Hylissang's not here yet. There's all these issues that they're going through with them having to all play in different rooms right now. They're not all on stage together. You talk about Upset coming in late, not having a ton of time to practice. That's the really nice competitive angle. It's like, man, that sucks. And you want to beat teams at their best to prove that you're actually better than them. I say we take those, all right? If you're EG, you're trying to get out group, you're trying to get out seed 1. This is the one time they're going to play each other. This is maybe the weakest Fnatic is going to be in terms of prep. This is when you take it down.
So what happens when we win?
Then we look like just garbage.
No, we blame the event.
Yeah, okay, the classic. We've heard of it before, for sure.
Yeah, so that's the NA angle, I think, right now, is we take those.
I mean, the EU angle I have is the fact that you get Rocks coming in. It's not the first time we get an European Regional League player coming in, and I think I'm quite lucky as well. I've actually casted the guy for a year at least, so I think it's going to be great if a guy can come in from a secondary league in Europe and still pair up with the NA guys. I'm here for the fight. I'm here for the war of the substitutes.
I mean, we've also had Fnatic having some rough goes at Worlds in terms of luck last year as well, having to bring in some substitutes last minute. So, they're used to it. This is something they've had to go through a couple times.
All right, let's go ahead and piss off everybody in theme with what the desk was doing earlier.
Wow.
So, looking at Fnatic's history as an organization, one of the most storied orgs in competitive League of Legends.
Yes.
Was the Season 1 championship of World Champions.
Oh my God, you're gonna throw this hot potato at me?
Yup.
I can't.
What do you think, Mark?
Okay, so
I'm throwing you under the
let
bus.
me do this.
What do you think?
All right, I will say it is the furthest format that ever existed from the Worlds from Season 2 onwards. The gap from Season 1 to Season 2 in terms of format changes, it was double elim actually back then. It was best of 3s in the lower bracket. China and Korea did not attend, so there was not much regional representation, whereas Season 2 started to go closer to the regular format. You could make the case it's the furthest away. Fnatic fans don't hate me.
That's what I'm saying. I'm seeing how many fans. We're starting a conversation on Twitter, Mark.
No, you're trying to get me flamed.
Listen here.
This is the worst.
I'll make it easy for you instead.
Friends
Mark,
on
shall I?
high.
I will.
Sorry.
It doesn't
I missed
count.
that.
Like, who
Let's see.
looks back at the first
Fucking
championship and was like, exactly, I'll be the first one to throw it out there. Who cares?
It's like that meme image, with the guy over the sleeping baby getting, shot in the back. So
Yeah.
Alan Goldberg is protecting me right now.
Yeah, he's trying to save you from all the angry fans. I mean, they didn't get World Championship skins either until later on, right? Those skins.
And those skins sucks.
Oh my God, dude, Goldberg takes no prisoners.
Dude, that's back when the World Championship skins were like, here's Mundo in a t-shirt. Instead of like,
No, you don't trash talk that one. He go bonk. And if he goes bonk, then that's a good thing.
you like the bonk? I like the Jax trophy bonk.
Yeah, but that's also
Ooh,
bonk.
that's a good one.
Yeah, I was always a fan of the bonk. The trophy funk 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 noise. It adds a lot of character.
You know those memes where it's like satisfying for my male audience or something like that? You know, I feel like that's just like those bonk things. It's like the most weirdest things, but it just makes sense, you know?
Oh, like the lady at the computer who's just like, gamers only want one thing, and it's they only have one like fantasy, and it's this, and it's just a bonking noise.
Exactly. It's like going to a beach with a shovel and just digging a hole.
Yeah, just unleashing your inner golden retriever. No, I'm down for that.
I am lost. You two are having a little moment here. I don't know what you guys.
You've never just gone to the beach with a shovel, dug a hole? Builds character,
No.
Mark. Haven't you ever seen the movie?
This
I
is
made it.
LA.
Sorry,
The
Shia
beach is
LaBeouf.
nearby. I know what we're doing on an off day, Mark.
God.
We're getting shovels and we're going to the
Not
beach.
me, man. I'm
Yeah.
pasty. I stay indoors.
Okay, we'll bring sunscreen.
Yeah.
No.
So that
The
like
sun is my enemy.
SPF 150.
Umbrella.
No. All right, on the skins line for Worlds, what's your favorite year for skins? Do you have one that where you're like, this line killed it?
I am ambivalent. Skarner is in none of them.
I think it's IG.
One day Sansara might win a world championship. You might get that. I first set 2017, but I actually agree with you. Like 2019 IG, all of them slaps. The only thing I think that like is a bit off is that in face they all look the same. So if you just show me their face, I'm like, is that LeBlanc? Is that Fiora? Is that Camille? Is that
Yeah.
Kaiser? I don't know, but they look sick.
They look like the SKT Jin when he ults and he gets the wing.
Oh, the
yeah.
wings. The
That
wings
was
are
pretty dope.
badass. I really like the wings on him. It just makes it feel that much cooler because you get the crescendo of the music as the wings come out. It feels very cinematic, right?
Yeah.
Like it sort of matches up for the hype of the world skin and everything like that. But you know what I would pay for, Mark, now that I thought about it, Riot Games, I know you're out there, I know you're listening right now. I want to pay RP to make any champion make a bonk noise when they hit someone. I want to pay
Like
1,000
sound
RP
You want
or
sound
whatever to attach a bonk
Wow.
to Skarner.
You should be an entrepreneur.
Oh, have you ever heard my idea for Trucker Orn?
No.
This is $1 million idea. Riot Games, listen up. So it's Orn, but he wears a trucker hat. His Q, it has a 50-50 chance. It's a legendary skin. We go all out for this. It summons either a traffic cone or a stop sign. When he charges at it with his E, it makes slamming on the brakes tire noises. His W is a burp, and when he summons it all, it goes honk honk, and it's a big semi that just like runs over everybody and smacks them. And then when he does his little like bonkety
Alright, guys.
bonkety, I'm building an
Up to
item
the
thing,
end.
he gets on
That's
the
the
CB radio and he's like 10-4, good buddy, I need
Perfect.
hell yeah. I've been trying to pitch this like indirectly on
Right
my
over it.
streams and on Twitter and stuff.
Alrighty, guys.
Now, and
you figured now
I don't know.
Yeah, trending.
I'm doing it
Should we do
now, so
something
I've got
else?
time.
On the World's broadcast.
Just
Yeah, I have to
realized
say
we're
also,
getting a bit more
the entire time
viewers
you've been
than
talking, you have a
usually.
star stuck
So
to your
I'm
chest
just
from the confetti. I don't know if it's coming through on
thinking.
camera, but it's
Oh,
insanely distracting
wow.
anytime.
Oh, that's fantastic. No, I'm keeping that.
Okay, keeping it.
I'm gonna keep that while we figure out what's going on over here with the star. We're talking to him.
Watch out!
Still letting it up. We're stepping away.
They cut off our combo.
I could go on.
Kylie, oh, you see, I didn't see that. Because I didn't have this open. Okay. Let's try again to draw Yumiko.
everybody. It's still not game time, but we're still having a good time here at the caster desk.
No one be fooled. Just because you see us, we're still solving some issues.
Yeah, we're having a good time. Goldberg just realized the way that I do my notes. I like to go old-fashioned. We handwrite them. And
what's it on the back of?
An old COVID test. I'm not going to show it because it has my address on there, and we know how Twitch chat can be.
Oh, yeah.
But I didn't actually have any real paper, so I wrote half of the teams down on this one.
And what have you got, Mark?
For class today, I have very nicely printed notes. I have the names, the most played champions, some storylines, some.
You're the kid who reminds the teacher we had homework.
Yeah.
Mark.
Well, if I did it. There's a lot of times I didn't do the homework.
Okay.
But if I did it, I'm getting credit. I swear to God.
You're okay. All right. At least you're going with sunk cost fallacy there when you're dragging everybody else down with you. But yeah, I got a whole page, a whole column about Fnatic.
That's an A+ in my book. If you handed that in as your teacher,
dude,
you showed grit. You showed heart. There's no way.
An apple as well. Just shine it up there.
There's no way you didn't do that on the bus on the way to school with whatever scraps of paper you could
Oh
find.
no, I 100% did. Back when I was
kind of curious about the hair. Go on, Jack. Just keep the conversation.
I mean, I was also kind of like a little out of it when I wrote all these because I didn't get a whole lot of great sleep, so some of the words aren't spelled right. Just don't worry about it a whole lot.
Would they have been spelled right if you had slept well?
Maybe.
I don't know.
We're never gonna know. We're not in that
The odds would go
timeline,
up.
Mark. It's
I'm
like Dr.
completely slammed by jet lag, so it's like I can actually see it. You know, my jet lag and your fussiness is just mixing together and actually read it.
Yeah, see,
That's great.
we're building synergy
Exactly.
before the game
Were you good in
That's
school,
actually-
Goldberg?
I like to be like, I feel like as a kid I was like, yeah, primary was so easy, but then again, every kid was like, I used to be good in school until I went to university. It was like, nah, mate, it was just easy in the beginning, and then it got hard, and you just didn't care enough.
It scales up.
I like it.
Yeah, does that actually stick?
For the people who can't currently see what's happening right now, we're getting temporary tattoos with, what is it, confetti stars in the face of Captain Flowers?
Yeah, I'm just seeing how many of these I can stick on my face.
You still got the chest one there. I respect the commitment.
Yeah, we're keeping the chest one.
I called it out, and you're like, great.
Every 5 minutes that goes by, Captain Flowers will put another star on his face.
Oh, it's just like when you get to school, when you have like a good assignment.
Oh, you
get
picked
an A.
right there.
You got 1 star on there.
Hey, I'll have you know, I went and looked at social media during the break, and everybody was loving Trucker Orange. So I'm giving myself so many gold stars as a reward for Trucker Orange.
What happens?
Wow,
Can you imagine if this wasn't 3 p.m. PST, if this was middle of the night and you were more unhinged?
I would have way more stars already.
I am at that sleep schedule.
Yeah,
I am jet lagged. This is the middle of the night for me.
I lost some of my stars.
Goldberg's just going to be screeching in the middle of the game, not even casting.
I'm here for this one game, and I'll be back later for the last 4 games. Like, by the end, when we reach that 8th game, I'm not going to be functioning.
If
I'm not
you pass
human.
out, I'll be around. I'll swap back.
Nice, nice.
If you need a break.
I mean,
you're
it's
the real
good thing
hero
we're
of the
sponsored
day.
by Red Bull.
You know when's your assignment? Are you doing casting tomorrow?
Nah.
I was going to say, because if this keeps up, maybe we'll just do it straight into the next set. You know, just keep rolling. 24-hour
Just don't
broadcast.
sleep.
24-hour broadcast.
Yeah, we just keep rolling into day
That was
2.
one of us back in the day who remember like the curse house where they just like had a camera going. It was like you could just always see what was happening.
You saw some. There's a lot of things happen that probably shouldn't happen on camera. With
Oh really? I didn't
a lot
know
of
that
arguments
stuff.
that were.
This is
just
back
a lot of arguments.
Okay.
You were at Curse, wasn't it, Mark?
No, this was pre-me.
Oh, this was all right.
Yeah,
Mark
the 24-hour camp
Pre-Mark's
with like
dominate.
elements and St. Vicious having some legendary fights. There's been a lot of legendary pauses as well. People talk about the season 2 pause, where Silver Scrapes actually became like the meme.
Yeah,
was
exactly.
was 8 hours. I
can't believe we didn't all just hate it because he kept playing. But all of us was just like collectively like, yeah, this is
United under
great.
that.
No, I definitely hated it in the 8 hours.
You watch your
But
mouth.
Mark, you have done the most famous reprise of the song worldwide.
If I told you I did that ironically,
I mean, of course you did, but people accepted it unironically. They
Yeah.
loved you for what you were, Mark.
It's a piece of art.
have you ever?
Can you do something meaningless and give it meaning? That's what you did.
Yeah.
That's quite beautiful, really.
That's a beautiful way to think about it. I think about it peaking in life already, like the way high school jocks, wear their Letterman jacket.
I don't know.
Like
I'm not.
35.
You'll
All right,
tell me. I'm not American.
maybe this is an American reference, but like.
Well, that's okay. We got to teach Goldberg about the
Yeah, there's
American
like,
stuff.
I mean,
We're gonna get him
and
a burger
the
or
idea transcends. This is just like the American stereotype version of it. Is like the jock that was like the coolest guy in high school. That's
I've seen
peak.
Grease.
Yeah. It's like those people who peak in high school. That's like me in my career with my Silver Scrapes rendition. Is I don't think I'll ever do anything more renowned than that. So it's all
art is
downhill.
also tragedy.
It's all downhill from here, Mark.
Yeah, I'm going
That's really
trending down.
That's your outlook on life?
Actually,
Skiing down the slope, hope you don't hit a tree.
just I'm just vibing, dude. I didn't say that.
Well, I mean, you're saying it's all downhill. That's all. You ever play that old that computer game where you were a skiing dude, but you couldn't? Like
Oh,
eventually
dude, that is a
the
throwback.
abominable snowman would eat you. I remember playing that.
How old
when I
are you,
was
Goldberg?
like 6 years old.
How old are you guys?
31.
32.
23.
Okay, yeah. So
Fit right in.
he probably didn't play the bomb.
You're a boomer
So
sandwich.
we had slope.
Two boomers.
We had slope. You went to a website online. You just played slope. You just kept that going in the back of class.
You ever play Mavis Beacon Teaches Typing or Number Cruncher?
Mavis Bacon's typing simulator. Yes, I remember that.
Can we get an older person on the desk? Please teach me about it then.
All right, so back in the day, they were just adding computers to schools for the first time.
Yes, it was great.
And they didn't want games on there, but they would put in educational software that could be games, like Math Blaster and Number Cruncher and Mavis Beacon Teaches Typing. And that's what you would do is
Is
you
it
would...
Beacon?
Was it Bacon or
I
Beacon?
thought it was Bacon.
Dude, this is some Mandela effect right here.
Yeah. Which
Oh,
reality
brother.
actually happened, Mark?
Let's get a Twitch poll going. Anyone in any mods in the Twitch chat right now want to
Look us up
get
here.
a poll going?
We won't be able to tell what it is. Like, we don't have Twitch chat even available.
Someone can put it in the prompter eventually someday.
Oh, wait, that's true. Yeah, we can do that. So, yeah, Mavis Bacon. Did you ever, so the one, I remember in high school, they had, like, one set of computers. I think it was in, like, the accounting classroom or something. You just play whatever browser you want.
Dude, Tron was my game.
I was playing Bloons Tower Defense.
Yeah,
I was
everyone did that.
I was playing, like, Bowman 2, where I played so much Bowman 2, I caused the computer to crash. I took that as, like, a mark of pride. Oh, it's Beacon, not Bacon.
That's what they said in the prompter.
Yeah, that's what the prompter
Yeah, but did
says.
you Google it or did you Twitch chat it? Because the question was it a Mandela effect? Did everyone think it was Bacon? Because maybe
Yeah.
you could still be right, Camouflage.
I just want to be right in the eyes of the community, and Bacon sounds cool. That's what I'm working on.
This is the dichotomy of
Perception
man.
is reality.
You want to be right in the general sense with the community. I want to be objectively right.
I just want you to know I've checked out of this conversation.
That's totally
Let's check you
fair.
back
Like-
in. What do you want to talk about, Goldberg? Anything
Yeah,
like?
I'm really better at bouncing on ideas. No, I'm not really the
Okay,
guy who just coming off.
what have
on
you
it.
eaten in America so far?
Yeah, what do you got?
You said you've been to America, but this is your first time working for broadcast. Have you been to LA before?
No, this is my first time in LA. So far I went to McDonald's.
Hog.
Yeah, I got 20 chicken nuggets.
Is it different in Europe now? Can you compare the two?
I was actually surprised because those nuggets were so small. I am sure there's a scheme going where these nuggets are just not as big as they would be where I come from.
EU has, like, Mondo nuggets?
They're not Mondo. We're talking like maybe like 5 millimeters, bigger. But it matters when you have
put that in
of them.
freedom units for me, bud.
Wait, okay, well, somebody help me out here. I don't know freedom
It's
units.
like this much bigger, he's saying, in Europe?
Yeah, that's about right.
Just a smidge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a
Alright.
smidge.
Alright.
I will say, when you hear that, America's food options are usually quite large, I can see that being disappointing that you come to get the nuggets in
I went to Starbucks as well, got a nice coffee. I was jet lagged and it was warm outside. I love autumn and I love Worlds. And Worlds to me means like I go outside,
Brisk weather.
I'm blasted with cold air, I'm in my hoodie, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
this is great. I
Chilly
go to
cozy.
LA and it's like 28 of actual degrees outside and it's just humid and it just feels like a summer vacation rather than me getting ready for Worlds.
So you're not in the mood, is you...
Maybe I will be, but I mean, there's a little pause stopping it so far, isn't there?
I'm gonna get a lot of
It's going to be winter by the time it's possible.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
You're going to get your
Oh,
nice,
you're gonna
cool
feel
breezy.
LA
New
winter.
Christmas in LA.
Yeah, it's like 60 degrees.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
LA winter is pretty much like the end of summer when it starts to cool down everywhere else.
Are you more cultured than us? Can you do the conversions? If I say 60 degrees,
No,
just look at me and roll your eyes. Yeah.
No.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Maybe
I'm gonna,
maybe we can get it in the
Man learns to
prompter.
communicate.
I think I'm going to piss off a lot of people that don't
I
live
feel like
there.
that might be the sentence that will say the most today, just from the analyst desk and here.
It probably is. It probably is. But so here's the thing. I'm honestly down with most metric measurements, right? Like meters, millimeters, all that makes sense. Liters, milliliters, everything's cool. Like it's stacking
There's a
up.
reason.
It's tens by tens by tens.
Yeah.
But then Celsius, man, is just it's made up. It doesn't make any sense.
Fahrenheit. Okay, wait.
Flowers of industry.
No, I don't like Celsius.
What is
Celsius
the
doesn't make
freezing?
sense.
What is the freezing temperature? Where is that level in Fahrenheit?
32.
Why?
Why?
I don't know.
What's the boiling point?
I don't know.
It's 100. That's how they do it for
It's
Celsius.
Oh, well, what's the Fahrenheit one?
I don't even know. It's
See,
like 365
and the
or
freezing,
something.
the freezing is
307
zero.
days in a year.
The freezing
Yeah,
one is
I mean-
zero. Everything makes sense with
All right,
Celsius.
and here's what I'll say as well for Goldberg's point as well. It's closer to kelvins, which scientifically,
What?
as a big nerd, sir, do you not know
Kelvin was a guy in my high school math class.
But that is what you are actually like absolute zero and all that stuff with kelvins. Celsius is basically just shifted to make this 0 to 100 thing work. But
Oh,
it's the same numbers in terms of its scale. It's just that Kelvin's is the like closer side.
And who says you don't get analysis under a post? There you go.
Dude, I can talk. This is no, I'm not gonna go down my science rabbit holes.
You got some of those like potion bottles, like beakers and stuff?
No,
Beacons? You
I
mean
just
bacon?
No, oh yeah, sorry.
I just watch YouTube videos and then pretend I know what the hell I just watched and repeat it, and then everyone's just like, what? And I'm like, I don't know either, man.
Dude, that's one of the best ways to come across as smart. You just know random facts that other people don't know. Everybody always thinks that they're like, wow, Captain Flowers really knows his scar, and I'm like, no, bro, this champion has one mechanic, and I happen to know this
Butt
mechanic.
flip.
It's a butt twist, Mark.
I can't even get that right.
He
God.
can't flip. He has no dash.
He has a 4-second stun combo.
Goldberg, favorite champion. Go.
Thresh.
4K.
I mean, I feel like as a support player, he gets you the most value. It's so roundabout as a kid.
He's a Chad support.
Yeah,
Like,
you have
if
to
you're
be-
bad at him, you look just awful. If
Exactly.
you're good at him, you're a hero.
That's where I was gonna go. Is you have to be good.
Yeah, and I think Pike is the second one. I was actually matched in my recent Clash game against Holy Phoenix, who was on Wildcats.
That's unlucky.
Yeah, and I
gapped him?
so sad I don't have recordings because I 2v2 killed him down in that bot lane on my
Yo.
Pike. Yeah, but I lost the game.
We should sub you in, man. Get down to Mexico City. Play some games.
It's like I'll say this right now. He was up in the tower all the time and did just not respect it. He's like, I'm playing against this D1. I can't say that one. And can you say dog? This D1 dog? Is that
Scrub, dog,
Scrub?
I don't know.
Noob.
Dog
yeah,
water.
D1 noob.
People
So
say
he was
dog
just all
water,
in the face. Yeah, he was disrespecting. Like I got him hooked on the tower one time and he died. So
wait, you said you were smurfing on him. You killed him once after he
no,
was
two
perfect?
times, two times,
Okay,
two times.
okay.
Actually, the first one was insane, but Riot, when you patch the client, you can't go back and grab your old replay files.
Oh, yeah.
So I lost it.
That's always the worst.
Yeah,
You wanna-
convenient for my.
Yeah, dude, I was smurfing
Invasion.
on double lift too, but the VOD's gone.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah,
That's darn.
The funniest thing that happened was like right when Earth mode came out for the first time.
It was good.
It was.
It's still good.
It's still good, but
Yeah.
like back then, this is not about the mode. More just like I was playing with a bunch of people in house at Curse, and we were queued up into like other high elo people because it uses. I think it uses your normal MMR. So I played into Turtle on Earth mode with he was on Ezreal, and it was just like literally impossible to hit him with an ability. In all of his queues, felt like they were locked on. This is when he had he had 4 accounts in top 10 back in the day. Like Turtle was an absolute monster, and I played into him. I don't even remember what I was playing, but I just died as soon as I got within a screen of him.
I remember getting dumpstered by Nakne when he was in EU.
Ooh, that's a throwback right there.
Yeah, he played Jay's mid. And my God, that was like when when Koreans came to EU and you played solo queue. My God, there is a big difference.
Okay, so I don't know if I should say this at the risk of a caster curse, but currently all 10 players are in the correct position.
Some guy in the live thread says, I feel like we're at a high school lunch table. I take that as a compliment.
I mean,
Thanks,
yeah.
guy. I work with that. Why is League getting advertised on my favorite podcast? It's pretty clever.
Yeah, I get that. You guys want to start podcast after today?
I mean,
I only have like 3. Why not do one more?
yeah, there you go.
Do you have a podcast?
I don't have any podcast.
Okay, so here's what we do. Our podcast will become superior to his. And he'll come crawling back and back to be part of ours.
And then Mark will become the superior podcast, and then you will leave the other ones.
Assimilate me through osmosis.
Yeah. You ever watch that movie when you
Wait, is that music?
Hold on.
Wait.
Hold on.
Wait,
Hold
They're
on.
playing us out.
Don't you toy with my heart. Don't you do it, game.
Head
Don't
referee,
you
game
do
is
it.
starting. Oh my God, we're champ select!
Holy shit! Let's go, baby!
It's League of Legends!
Oh.
Game 2 of Worlds!
Rock and roll! It's time for some gaming, my friends! Finally, we get Evil Geniuses and Fnatic going head-to-head. The draft has begun!
Oh boy, finally, we'll see how this game goes. We got Goldberg here to represent Fnatic, me for EG. We're gonna see who's gonna take the first game in the rivalry.
Alrighty, Goldberg, what are we expecting to see out of the draft here from the Fnatic side? What do you want to see from these guys?
I think it's going to be really curious because after playoffs, I think a lot of people had different expectations as to what Humanoid was going to perform on. He looked really good on the Sylas.
Yeah.
Sylas is still okay, but might not be the same kind of priority you went for back then. And it's also just a bot lane meta. You can still see that champions are being prioritized against the likes of Upset here. But looking at what we saw in our first game, it was all about the junglers when it came to first pick. Now we're still picked up. So I think teams are still figuring out what they really want to do.
All right, so let's check in at least what the bans are looking like here in the first half. Hecarim, Akali, Ornn banned out by Fnatic. Evil Geniuses remove Kalista and Yumi. A little bit of time time left to go on that third one. What is the final of the first half going to be? Sejuani banned away.
Seems like a lot of Sejuani bans coming through. The Hecarim as well. Big respect ban to Inspired. Even back then when he was in Europe, winning the LEC MVP, it was a lot of Hecarim type champions.
And just instantly a first pick Aatrox coming through from Wunder. Wunder that actually had to play a lot of weak side most recently in a lot of the games that he was playing. So it's really curious to see that this is what they opt in for immediately. A champion that I'm expecting to see at some point will be that Maokai in the top lane as well. He's become super strong for tanks to play against also.
And hey, look at that being hovered right there. The Caitlyn that we saw banned out earlier. I know this is a champion that's been getting a lot of attention in Champions Queue as well. It makes it through the first phase with only one marksman ban focused on that Kalista. This is going to be the first lock into the tournament for Cowrie.
And that's a big part of it, is the fact that Cowrie is the sub coming in, instantly giving a champion that you have to play around. You know, Caitlyn, for the longest time, is you push waves, you make sure you have cryo, you make sure you have vision, so you can kind of go this fast push. You want to obliterate turrets, and you want to have a lot of tempo in the game. Even with the buffs that came through, that's still kind of her identity.
And it's really curious to see now as well that Graves will be the champion locked in here. Graves is usually one of these junglers that he doesn't facilitate lanes. Lanes are trying to facilitate him.
Yeah.
For the longest time, that was the style that Razork wanted to play, but he couldn't play in this team. So the fact that you currently see him be on the Graves means that Fnatic also needs to show now that it's not just Razork on a Poppy or something facilitating that needs to help you like he did in playoffs. Now you need to give him the resources as well.
Yeah, they were the highest gold difference at 15 in playoffs for LEC. They were up over 1,000, around 1,200, and a lot of that felt like both Upset being an absolute god on Lucian, as well as Razork's really good early ganks. The fact that you're on this Graves will mean that it's a bit of a different style.
Alrighty, so we've got the Graves, the Victor, the Aatrox, the top half of the map drafted for Fnatic. On the other side, things are very different. They've got the Sylas, and then Caitlyn Lux, one of those long-range, really oppressive bottom lanes that likes to take control really early.
Yeah, and it's usually a lane that wants to be able to have the push on you. That's why you also see champions like Karma be banned out, because you can actually contest the wave push coming in. But it's also a lane that dictates the style of where the team wants to play. You want to break open the first turret and move around. So they need to make sure that they're containing the bot lane of Fnatic, which arguably is also the strongest side of Fnatic too. Misfortune, who's been a strong champion, is still left open. Aphelios, who's also starting getting some play, is also there. So I still feel like Upset has tools, but it's definitely EG bringing out a power pick down with this bottom lane duo.
Alrighty, so the bans are done. It's two junglers banned out by Fnatic, both the Lee Sin and the Jarvan. They want to shut down some of Inspired's early playmaking. Meanwhile, with EG, you already touched on the Karma, but getting rid of that Nautilus, if we're looking at the champions on Fnatic so far, there's really no engage here. So they want to stop that from being a possible.
That's what I was about to say, is right now they don't really have any engage or lockdown CC. You're going to expect probably that to come from Brux, but that's a huge burden to put on a young guy coming in to be the sub, be the primary engage into a Caitlyn Lux lane where a lot of those engaged champions will lose early on unless you get like really nasty gank set up.
I feel like you just lock in the MF Leona here. You say lane is going to be a little bit insufferable, but we don't have a lot of choice. We need that extra engage, and having that classic lockdown is really good because even though Lux and Caitlyn is shoving you in, if one member makes an overextension, Leona will just lock you down. And you force the Caitlyn to grab that cleanse instead of a combat summoner spell instead.
Exactly, and there it is. Misfortune Leona locked in to finish off the Fnatic composition. Now EG took Viego as their first pick of the second half of the draft. This has been becoming more popular in Champions Queue recently as well. We've been seeing quite a few picks of this. And now, I'm just curious, what is that last pick for Evil Genius?
If they want to continue playing around the range, they could just grab a GP or something along those lines. But going in with the Renekton, you have something to actually contest the Aatrox in lane.
Yeah, so you have this triple melee topside with this perma shoving bot lane for EG here. The Aatrox was a bit of a problem for a lot of teams in playoffs in North America, how people responded to it. Could you play the Fiora, for example, as a counterpick? A lot of people couldn't. And so for Impact to take the Renekton, obviously a great matchup for the Renekton, but still one that you have to play well because if you ever start falling behind, it can be tough.
Exactly. So, with the compositions finished now, I want to ask both you guys, Goldberg, I'm going to start with you and with Fnatic. How do you want to see them play this?
You feel good?
I feel good.
You like it?
I feel better.
Yeah, oh, you do?
Ooh.
Okay, well, you know, from the side of Fnatic, it's not the same kind of kiting we're going to get from Offset, you know, but I think they still have tools. And when you're playing a champion like Leona, back in the day, that was Rock's most played champion. So while the level is new to him, he's still on comfort and still seeing how he can play around ground spacing and have someone to play for. The only thing I'm worried about is the fact that Razork might get invaded with the opponent having power lanes from that bot lane.
For me, if I'm looking at it as a North American fan, I saw how crazy the early games were for Fnatic. I was terrified of Upset laning phase going up against our substitute, but the fact that they are probably on the back foot and have a little bit more scaling with things like the Victor, I'm at least feeling okay a little bit for EG, but it's still a big question mark of high execution with all these short-range champions and a relatively fragile bot lane in the Caitlyn Lux. If things start going bad, it can go very bad.
And man, I got eyes on both of the junglers here in this game, especially. Goldberg, you talked about how, hey, if you're going to lock in Graves, the team's got to be able to play around you. We've seen Humanoid be able to facilitate Razork, like getting those things done, making sure that he can get ahead and build some of those leads, go for invades. But when EG's drafting a Viego, you can't just let him fall behind either.
Yeah, but I'm curious to see that Viego. Obviously, that's a huge callback to a comfort champion for Inspired. Like, no one's going to forget the pentakill he had against Misfits, which, by the way, back then was against Razork as well. So, you know, historically between these two guys,
got a mental edge.
Yeah, maybe potentially coming through there. But it's going to be curious to see how Humanoid is going to be performing under Victor, because it's something that he actually struggled on when he went on to control mages throughout playoffs. So going up against Jojokin, who's really been favoring champions like Silas, where there is a lot of agency, it's going to be curious to see how he's going to perform ever since his playoffs.
So one thing I do want to go ahead and take stock of here nice and early, both AD carries going for the cleanse. You mentioned it versus the Leona. It's the same thing versus the Lux. You got to be able to get away from that. Got to be able to get away if you get caught in the CC. All 4 solo laners running a teleport with no summoner spellbook outliers anywhere else. But I do also want to point out, this will not be the Ghost Graves that we saw in game number 1 of the day. Razork going for the Flash Dark Harvest instead of the Ghost Fleet.
Most importantly, the banter between EU and NA is underway. Jojo cannot keep his mouth shut. Right out the gate says, Humanoid Victor, oh my god, go easy on me please. Don't Chovy at me. And Humanoid stepping up, using some language I won't repeat.
Oh boy, wait, what do we got here? Oh, okay, that's, yep, I guess we
Let's
can't
just say he
that
answered the call.
I love to see it. I love to see it. I love having that banter online nice and early. Both of our junglers are starting on the top half of the map, expecting them to path downwards, and we're expecting this Evil Genius's bottom lane to really be controlling the pace of things on the lower half of Summoners.
Yeah, just how that bot lane is going to be panned out. When you're playing Lux and Caitlyn into a lane like Leona, like the first few levels of Leona, they're just going to suck. You're not going to have much access to the wave. You're trying to come up, proc your little support item, get some gold, but in the end, you will get pushed in. So having them finally be able to shop that wave, they get a lot of space to roam around with. They can go aggressive, get wards from the enemy, or they can just move Vulcan up towards River to have some pressure in the mid lane as well.
Look at the double wards that they already have in River as well, both covering the Tri-Brush gank, but also the Dragon Pit gank. Giving a lot of respect to Razork's early games where he was incredible in the LEC, finding these unique angles to find kills. And bot lane can become a bit of a black hole with Caitlyn's Lux lanes, where one team wants vision control so that they can perma-shove, the other one needs to gank to break that open to stop you from just taking turret plays. That causes both junglers to pass top to bot, and it becomes just like the focal point of the game.
And we even know from seeing Fnatic play before, Razork's the kind of guy who will make sure he's trying to fix these lane states, get everything where it needs to be for the rest of the squad, but it is difficult when you're just stuck behind this massive war machine that is Caitlyn and Lux in the bottom lane like you're talking about. It's miserable to play against. We're just seeing everything here right now. It's EG with control over the side lanes. Mid lane is going to be the push for Humanoid against Jojokin nice and early here. Victor having that little bit of an edge over Silas to get that one crashed in. But honestly, not a whole lot going on here early. Both junglers opting for the full clear.
Yeah, and you know, it's just going to continue like that. Game plan for EG should just keep your bot lane stabilized. When they crash this wave, they know they can secure the crab on the bottom side as well. The only worry that you'll have to have is that fact that Humanoid is going to be pushing in the Silas, and that's just how the normal range into melee matchup go. And up towards the top side, well, you said as well, Mark, they had intel on the junglers. They knew where they was, so you could just farm for free. Inspired, though, fighting Brox.
Yep. Finds him a little bit, not going to get a whole lot more out of it. Upset and Rux are going to be very familiar with the sights, sounds, and smells underneath this tier 1 turret because they aren't going anywhere else anytime soon.
God, this is exactly what you do with the pushing bot lane. You have your Viego go down there, not actually to make the play happen. He just kind of drops 2 wards for them to make sure that the Graves can't interrupt it, force Graves back up to the top side of the map, buy that kind of isolated lane phase for your Caitlyn Lux to just keep shoving away. And it does put pressure, I feel like, a little bit on Razork as well as Wonder and Humanoid on the kind of winning side of the map a little bit to actually get some things done.
And while not a lot of things are happening right now, I gotta give some NA some props here. The fact that we see Aatrox versus Renekton, quite often we'll see both of them default to a Doran shield instead.
Yeah.
They just kind of wing it like that. But Impact, come on! He's actually gone for the Doran's blade and trying to take agency in the 1 versus 1, as you can see here as well. That's Chad. I respect it. Point +1 to NA.
All right, I'll take those props.
I'll take that any day of the week as Inspired just walks through mid, helps shove out this wave a little bit, wants to allow Jojo to crash that wave, get his reset, get his position back in that lane ASAP as Impact ready to crash another one here in the top side. Rux is alone underneath the tier 1 in bottom, But Upset's trying to make his way back here. Vulcan, Cowrie, and Inspired are going to be moving as a unit of 3 towards the Fnatic support, but a nice use of the Zenith Blade to bring him back underneath as Evil Geniuses get their jungler away. Jojo's coming in looking for it. Q1, Q2 both going to miss. Rux and Upset are fine for now. Inspired at 200 HP. Jojo looking to go in again. Goes down the Qs. Rux still walking away. Okay, Fnatic escapes, but it's still massive amounts of minions lost and a lot of extra golden turret plates to the EG bot lane.
Overall, a decent play for EG. I think they really wanted to get them pinned up under that turret and get that double kill there. Feels like a bit of a missed opportunity, but still in a good position. The fact that Impact is winning the top side 1v1. I'm going to keep moving on with my point.
Yikes.
Impact's winning top side, bot lane's winning. You got double winning side lanes. A lot of pressure onto Fnatic. I don't know what just happened on my screen. We're moving on.
But that actually might be a point of attack for Fnatic, because out of nowhere, this super immobile Lox that doesn't have that cleanse swapped into the heal when Kari has it, all of a sudden might be someone you can gank in the mid lane. Humanoid actually TP'd in to the mid lane instead of TPing down towards the bot side. We see a lot of teams having to TP down bot in this meta because you just combine a wave push and go for these dives. Fnatic didn't offer that. They trusted that bot lane not to die, so Humanoid could just go back into the mid lane.
And really good showing for Rux and Upset. The fact that you're having Upset complying in late, Rux obviously being called up in an emergency sub situation to come in and actually lane with Upset. You have to imagine there's maybe 0 scrims together. I'm not exactly sure how many they might have gotten, but it would be probably countable on the
Scrims and Fnatic over this. We're not going anywhere.
that's a separate tangent, my guy. But either way, the fact that they are doing decently in a very high-pressure situation so far.
Alrighty, boys. It's a 600 gold lead for Evil Geniuses with no kills on the board, and the vast majority, if not all of that, is the bottom lane. It is those turret plates. It is the 61 versus 41 farm advantage. Jojo a level behind here compared to Humanoid. Not an entire level, of course, but Humanoid just having that extra little bit of an EXP lead. He's going to force Jojo away. Jojo having no TP to get back here. Razork's got control over this topside river, so he should be able to secure the crab. As Wonder just tries to distract these minions here a little bit longer. Impact once he gets the wave shoved up. Inspired is here, but there is no level 6 on either jungler.
Yeah, and really good wave management from both solo laners of Fnatic currently. You can see Humanoid gets the push in against Jojo, and Wonder, knowing that they don't have intel on the enemy jungler like Inspired right now, actually just sets up the freeze in his lane right here. So even though Inspired is up here, the only way he'll find the gank if his Wonder gets over aggressive.
Nope. Looks like we're pretty good. Impact just going to walk it off. Takes a lot of damage there from the Q3, but he'll be able to reset, do whatever he wants. Does have the teleport if he needs it as well. As you can see, that bottom lane finally being pushed out there by Fnatic.
Really nice play over the last minute and a half by both Fnatic solo laners. The mid pressure that Humanoid put down onto Jojo forced him back into base with no recall. Vulcan had to cover mid, which relieved the pressure in the bot lane as well. We just saw that kind of freeze that Wonder has on the top side while still getting chunked onto Impact. They have done a really good job. You can see the gold lead coming back closer to even now, just off that kind of solo lane prowess.
Alrighty, boys, where's First Blood gonna be? Where do we think we're actually going to get some of this PvP action?
Bot lane fiesta party, something's going right or wrong for one of these teams.
Alrighty, that's what I like to hear. We'll see if anybody moves their way down there, as we do have Inspired and Razork both hanging around the mid lane. Level 6 for both junglers.
But actually, this could be curious as well, because EG actually have a bot lane that can shove in. So if you shove in your bot lane right now, you get Vulcan on a reset. You have that first rotation up towards the Herald. Maybe you force a skirmish that actually favors you there, especially because Humanoid continues to have that push. So leveraging the fact that your bot lane can move is something to go for, but it looks like they're just going to continue to try and get some extra gold by chunking down the plays. While on the top side as well, even Wonder is forced to recall, so I wonder if EG sees the situation in the mid game.
Well, Inspired finds a quick stun on a Humanoid, but now he's got to be careful. Razork with the immediate punish, and they force out the defensive Viego ulti. Jojo dashing himself back over the Raptor wall. Uses E2 to get to the minions. There's the ulti from Humanoid. Evil Geniuses, they end up taking a big chunk of damage here on their mid laner, Jojo.
Oh my god, Humanoid, I was worried about the victory. He said, please don't Chovy gap me. It's happening a little bit. This black hole in mid lane pulling so much pressure down towards him. Impact getting his ult force.
I don't think it was a force as much as he thought maybe he was gonna go in on Razork there, but it didn't happen. Meanwhile, in bottom lane, a lot of damage there to Vulcan. First Blood, Fnatic in the 2v2.
And that is Rux that shows up as well on the Leona. They have the Leona Misfortune bot lane. They know Vulcan flashed earlier. They have it on the timer, and they see the moment. Instantly punished down there.
Nicely done, but EG now seems to want a fight here in the topside river. Remember that Inspired does not have an ultimate. Impact does not have an ultimate, so Fnatic can take the Herald and get away.
Really nice play for the last minute for Fnatic. Just really stopping the bleeding in all lanes. That flash lost by Vulcan that you called out, Goldberg, punished right before it came back up. They get that kill. That slows the bot lane push down. You also get the Herald. It's an interesting development of what's going to happen with Caitlyn's. Do you start moving for the Herald, or do you just keep your pressure bot? They chose to keep the pressure bot, but they still got engaged on.
And it feels bad when you play. If you ever play the Lux in this matchup as well, knowing if you don't have that summon spell, Leona is just unbearable to play against. Like, you leverage the fact that you have early pressure in the lane, but know when you hit level 6, can never be incentive flip range, or else you just will get moved up.
Really, really nice stuff being able to not only get that kill, but force the flash out of Cowrie as well. And it's all about maintaining the threat of another kill as soon as they've got those resources available once more. That's what they got to be ready to do. They must be able to all in this incredibly oppressive poke lane that does still have about a 25 CS lead for Cowrie over Upset.
But the lane is still going to go, like, you're still shoving in with a Lux, right? And because of that, they are getting access to the river right now, where you can just start off the first neutral objective, at least from EG side, by getting this Godric for themselves. So there's still lots to play for EG. It's not like the bot lane is all of a sudden shut down.
You don't lose, you know, the game outright, but you do have that
What do you mean the Aquamarine
dragon?
Dragons?
Because ideally, after you crack bot turret, you want to start moving top and whatnot. The fact that top lane's already starting to turn in Windows favor, we see a Gore Drinker for impact instead of what has been kind of becoming more popular with Blade of the Rune King and then into Sunfire, for example. So not quite as strong in the 1v1, and Wonder's been taking advantage of it.
I know Odo was actually talking a bit about that, and he said that it felt like bait. And I say this because Odo had a horrible time with Renex in the beginning of playoffs, and then moved into a point where it actually worked out for him. Well, newsflash, he won the championship.
What?
No way!
And in that regard, he was saying that Gold Drinker for competitive, it just feels better. The other one's great for solo queue, but having that Gold Drinker when you're playing extended team fights, it just has a lot of value.
Yeah, people have debated it a lot, especially into like shorter range compositions. A lot of people do love the Gore Drinker still, just for how beefy it makes you in team fights.
Oh boy, Cowrie getting jumped on here in the bottom lane. No flash, no way out. Upset gets another.
Razork with every jungler's favorite gank, show up, shoot your ult over the wall, get that, you know, contribution, then just keep power clearing, gonna now get an invade as well. They get the pressure in the bot side, forcing Vulcan out of lane. This is going south for EG quick.
Oh, Vulcan does have flash. Razork, do you throw your Q in? He's not.
Nope, okay.
He's not gonna do it.
I'm surprised you don't just throw even your smoke
just
screen.
like for the sake of it.
I mean, you saw the ulti come down, so you know he's potentially somewhere around, but no, Razork doesn't go for it. He'll just end up backing instead. Let's take another look at how Fnatic found him again.
And it's what you called out as well, Flowers. Now it's Cowrie who doesn't have that flash instead. He does still have the cleanse, but even then, it's not enough to get out of the situation. Vulcan's so close to going down as well.
Yeah, the slow field from the Glacial Augment making sure that even if you do cleanse, you still have a tough time getting out of the Misfortune ultimate with no flash. And then again, with the Graves ult coming over the top, it's so much damage from so far away. EG have to find a way to get a good team fight. I don't know how you do that at this point, because Fnatic should have, I think, the scaling advantage in a lot of ways. With the MF already on Gale Force, completed 2 kills. She feels accelerated. Victor's very strong. It does feel like a tough position for EG here.
Yeah, but I mean, you gotta give props to the way that EG identifying that game plan, though. Like, they had a lot of members down towards the bot side. They almost found 2 kills when Humanoid TP'd into the mid lane instead. And had that